I've done a lot of messed up things. I am not a victim. Cinematic Venom is over. I'm here to talk about everything. There's a lot of things said about me, and there's a lot of messed up things that I've done that aren't public. I'm here by choice to make them all public. I'm here to take you back to help you understand why exactly I did certain things, but that doesn't make them okay. This isn't me citing mental health. This is me explaining what I went through which led to certain actions. That being said, I am in no way here to blame mental health or blame anything else. The point of this documentary is not to paint me as a victim, because I'm not a victim. I am only a victim of myself, my awful actions, my own stupidity. On the internet, people don't care what they say or do, and I want people to learn from my mistakes. Don't be like me. But also, the internet can create egos, which is another thing that I have been a victim of, my own ego. I did these things. I take full responsibility for these things, and I'm truly, truly sorry. So this was my childhood home. We moved around a lot as a kid. It was always within Northampton. This house I lived in, I think we moved in when I was 9 and we moved out when I was about 14. It was actually the longest house I lived in as a kid, but this was quite a nice area. Just played a lot of football back when we actually did play outdoors and I actually did have friends. There was, however, one incident where basically me and my dad had this whole argument. I went to my room, slammed the door, and it was after school, so it was evening, it was quite dark, and I was so angry and so upset I didn't really care, so I snuck out. I didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have any friends I could go to their house or anything, and it was pissing it down with rain. Honestly, I didn't really give a shit. I was so upset and angry that my own well-being in the middle of the evening, it didn't really occur to me that something could happen. I considered it running away from home at that point, but like I say, I had nowhere to go, so I just walked to where my mum worked at the time. She rang me up because she had actually got home first, and my dad had no idea I had even left. I'm not gonna sit here and make out like I had an awful childhood, because I didn't. You know, I was very, very spoiled. I was doted upon by my mother. Me and my dad were never close. I don't know, he wasn't a very good father. He didn't really do things that a father should do with his son. Things with me and my dad were constantly escalating, and this was just a prime example of that. But it would get a lot worse in the years that followed. I wouldn't say he was neglectful. There wasn't much love or affection there. He was physical once at a young age, but other than that, there was no abuse by my parents. I was basically spoiled. Growing up with 6 brothers, I only knew about 4 for a while, so I grew up with 4 brothers. And you know how boys act. They would bully basically everyone. But because I was the youngest, I took it to heart and really struggled to just shrug it off as banter. As a kid, I acted out a lot for attention. I vandalized things. I made prank phone calls. This was all before the age of 10. I was a little shit. So this is my middle school. It is no longer a middle school. It was actually demolished as soon as I left. And it stayed just a vacant lot for years, but now obviously it's home to a lot of new houses. But that big old tree is where me and Aaron used to just stand, and he would say random things to strangers as they walked past. Some would get angry, some would just ignore him. I think I blame him for my social anxiety. I actually do have some good memories of middle school. Year 5 and 6, I had a good collection of friends. I was actually good at school, really good at English, and I was good at maths. This is when I was good at maths.
31 minus 6 equals 23.
I was happy, you know. I had father issues, but there was nothing that really made my life miserable quite yet. Year 7 was when things started to go wrong. As year 7 rolled around, the bullying began. There was a lot of material to pick on me for. Oh, you know, skinny, yellow teeth, and I was an avid WWE fan. I was struggling with the things with my dad. It also hurt that my mum didn't really do anything about it. Sometimes he would talk down on me, and it was just, you know, nothing was done. So WWE almost worked as an escape. I would watch it religiously. Me and my friend would write down matches, like we'd role play, basically. I started getting bullied a lot in middle school, and unfortunately I lashed out and did the only thing I could do at that point, which was take it out on another boy. There was another child who was weaker than me and had special needs, and I took it out on him. I have reached out since and apologized. He didn't even remember me. It's weird that people are now painting me in such a negative light. You know, one common thing with abusers is that they either act like it didn't happen or they don't remember it happening. I've spoken to several bullies of mine since school, and a lot of them have no recollection of picking on me, and they just saw it as banter. They felt like they did nothing wrong almost. And yet here I am, and I remember the name of the person that I picked on, nearly 20 years ago, and they had no idea who I was. My depression started when I was just older than my son. I was about 11 or 12, and I would dread going to school every day. And then I would go home, and then arguments with my dad would begin to happen.
I do recall him talking about him not having a very loving relationship between his mother and father. Had always pondered about leaving or not really wanting to stay in that environment. I do remember specifically we would do video calls, and anytime his father came around, he would mute the mic for whatever reason.
And I don't know why, but he hated my life, and the only thing I could guess is because I wasn't right. I was a mistake, and Dad, I'm just being honest. I'm sorry I was born and I wasn't what you wanted.
When I was 7 or 8, you said you wish I wasn't born. And over the years, all of this is just now torn. So I spent years pulling pranks and vandalism as a way to get attention, and that it isn't the method that works. When I grew up a good un and became a dad, I wanted to be what you couldn't. And I was a father, but you wouldn't. Support till relationships crumbled and you saw me fall, but you never caught me. You were just talking down on me. Self-esteem continuously haunting. My demons are stalking. Wanted to die at 14 and you were never there. You were never there for me.
You know, anxiety makes you overthink everything and exasperate them and make things worse than they actually are. Anyone who's watching this who has anxiety knows exactly how I feel. And they know exactly what I mean. So this is my upper school, or high school if you're in America. This was the worst 3 years of my life. People say school is the best time of your life. It really wasn't. That walk to school every day was filled with dread and unease. This was when the anxiety levels just shot through the roof. So just over there, I was actually walking to class when this big tall ginger guy called Adam just violently shoved me on my ass in front of his friends for no reason. I was just on my way to class. The thing is, I didn't get up and question it. I didn't say, what are you doing? I didn't get angry. I didn't get upset, because at that point it was just the norm. I was so used to it. I mean, people knew that I was picked on, but they didn't know the severity of it. They didn't know that at the age of just 13 or 14, I started having suicidal thoughts. So, apologies for the background noise. There is more construction work going on, but this is the house that I filmed before, the screen review. So this is the house where I filmed my first ever YouTube video. It all started with me, an awful webcam, in my mother's kitchen.
The jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
This was the house I lived in between 2005 and 2011. So we moved in when I was 14. Arguments in this house were very commonplace. It was also the first attempt, and I use that term loosely, at suicide. I was just so sick of how I was being treated at school. I went home and I got a knife and I held it to my wrist, tears going down my face, and I didn't even realise at the time that there's a certain way you have to cut the wrist to cut the vein correctly to kill yourself. I didn't really care. There is a door that basically stops between the front door and the kitchen, so my dad came home, but he wasn't actually aware of what I was doing or what I was trying to do. It was in my last year of high school when I started YouTube videos. I had seen a couple of guys on YouTube just talking shit about wrestling.
If Vince McMahon was such a genius, why on earth would he have a match with God and have promos in a church? As we've constantly said, we're not going to talk about the WWE war. We're not. It's so hard not to.
I mean, honestly, deep down, I know that you know that it sucks.
I watched them for a few months before I said, you know what, I want to do this. I grabbed a webcam and I just started making videos talking about wrestling in my mum's kitchen. They were really bad. I didn't even know to focus the webcam. I had no confidence. Back then, like, anyone who did YouTube videos, it was weird. No one did YouTube videos. It was considered bizarre. I did them and people at school quickly found out, and I was bullied even more for it. The fact that I was putting something on the internet for the entire world to see, that thought never actually entered my mind. To me, I was just talking to a camera and then I would upload it. You know, the views and the comments never occurred to me. Over the months, I started gaining a couple hundred subscribers, and I have no idea why, but during this time, I made some amazing friends who I'm actually still friends with today.
I don't know what exactly precipitated the conversations between us, but eventually we just started talking a lot. I didn't really get to know much of his personal life until maybe a year in. I didn't really know of his depression issues.
Unfortunately, the low self-esteem, as I was in upper school still, I started webcamming girls. You know, I was very late on learning about sex and stuff. I was 15 now, and I made an anonymous email address, and I would add girls who went to my school, and I would flash them. I would go on MSN and go on webcam and get my dick out. Some of them would just block me immediately. Others would actually enjoy it and encourage me to keep doing it, and they had no idea that it was me. It sounds very warped, but because I got no affection from my parents and I was getting bullied at school and no girls liked me, this made me almost feel wanted, and it made me feel appreciated. It was a very warped thing to do. I was 15, lonely, and depressed. With YouTube, I was just chatting shit, you know. I had no confidence, and I still remember the first ever time someone made a video towards me in a dramatic way. They had been making videos insulting my friend Dave, so I jumped in to defend him. This person then responded to me and ripped me a new one. I actually felt it was an unreal feeling. I don't handle confrontation very well because of the bullying and because of the anxiety and depression. So when they did this, I was like, you know, I held back and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? It was more because what they said was based on facts. You know, I think I bragged about having more subscribers than this person, and they pointed out that I had been on YouTube only a month and I'd already posted about 40 videos or something like that, because these were unedited. I just webcam. And it was, you know, they called me a loser with no life. And it was true. You know, I didn't have anything. I didn't have any friends. No girls liked me. I didn't see my brothers anymore at this point. I lived with my parents and one brother, sure. Me and that brother didn't speak. And me and my parents barely communicated. I would go to school, come home, and just go on the computer. This was when the obsession began. I relied on the computer. That was my social interaction. And that's how I became so introverted, because I wasn't socializing with anyone. People at school found me weird and off because of this. The old people will remember Habbo Hotel. I used to use that to escape reality a lot. That was my scapegoat before YouTube. You know, my parents always did find it a bit strange that my friends were all online. You know, I didn't have any friends in person. I'd be up till ridiculous hours in the morning, Skyping them and watching wrestling with them. I was out of school and in work, and the thing is, I now became nocturnal. My job was it started at 6 in the morning, so I would go to work at 6 in the morning, finish at 2, come home, go to sleep, wake up, have dinner, stay up all night, go to work at 6 till 2 again, come home, go to bed, and repeat. It made more sense to me. This was when my obsession with YouTube grew and escalated, and that's when my obsession with energy drinks happened, and I gained insomnia. You know, back then I was, you know, the nice guy who always expected something for being nice to girls, and they'd always moan to me about their boyfriends. And, you know, I grew a lot of animosity and anger towards women because I felt entitled to more. I do get my first girlfriend, and it didn't really work out. She was an absolutely lovely girl called Sarah. I was a virgin, and she knew that I was a virgin. And she was more than willing to be my first, but I turned her down. There's a lot of pressure for guys to lose their virginities in high school, and I didn't do that. So when I had this opportunity to lose my virginity and I couldn't do it, I thought that something was wrong with me. But I wasn't used to this affection, this great girl showing me so much attention. I panicked. We were only together about 3.5 weeks. We broke up. I just said I wasn't ready for a relationship, which was very true. And that was that. On YouTube, I still had no confidence, but that was all about to change when I discovered one man.
Hi, my name is what?
I'm not here to blame Eminem, but I was quite easily manipulated. I realised that 08 is very late to be getting into M's music, but my brothers were all rock fans. It didn't appeal to me, so I didn't listen to any music. I discovered Eminem, became addicted, and I decided to implement that into my YouTube. I started acting like Slim Shady on the internet. I would insult my viewers, I would just talk shit about people.
I'm back on YouTube. Why? After I continually said the hell with YouTube and it's just full of drama and shit? Because I've seen several comments begging me to come back and continue to bury these retards.
Everybody on YouTube is a fucking poser with no opinion of their own.
People say I can dish it out but can't take it, but back then I did these videos and people would get so angry and so hurt at what I was doing, and I enjoyed it.
I am fucking pissed off with this faggot here, okay? Usually, people's stupidity makes me laugh, but with you it's different because your stupidity is so far gone, you've got the fucking brain capacity of a mental patient.
You're just a little puffy cheeked kid who looks like Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. Get a haircut, lay off the fudge cakes, hit the Slim Fast, hit the gym, get off YouTube, learn about wrestling, and actually grow your first pube.
You're trying to insult me, yet you're Canadian. Oh great, you hail lumberjacks and have a fucking leaf as a flag, and you're a cheap rip-off of America. Oh yeah, you like that, faggot?
I enjoyed drama videos being made about me. I encouraged them because I thought I was this untouchable god. This did give me a lot of confidence that I was lacking before. I was parodying as many Eminem songs as possible at this point, and I asked a female friend to be in the music video where she would pretend to go down on me. And I even remember begging that same female friend to take my virginity. I was just that lonely, and I thought this is acceptable behavior. I didn't know any better.
Rob and I would make music because he got into rap music. He was really infatuated with Eminem. And a little known fact about me, I used to make music way back in the day. Right around 2005, 2006 was when I was really most prominent in making music. One particular individual that we used to make rap tracks on was this guy named James Eden, who used to go by the name of Yeesus. Whatever the fuck that is. I don't remember exactly what Yeesus had done to me personally, but I remember he personally attacked me, and I was just like, oh, instant, gotta go after him, gonna just rip in on him. So this is 2008, so I would have been like 19 at the time. He would have been about 17, so we would just rip into this guy like no tomorrow. We would just make diss tracks on him, going personally at him.
Motherfucker, wishing you was me, so fucking
obsessed, he even fucking hacked me. The retard that I made. You fuck with me, I talk shit about Jade. See folks, a lot of guys out there know that women can be fickle. Jade was a 6-month-old bitch who left her for a cripple. And this fucking homo once and for all. Motherfucking back still riding my balls. He goes and does a song towards Chris, it randomly mentions me in the fucking diss. Taking the piss, obsessed and in love with Rob. Poor Jade converted him to sucking knob.
Girl, he's this man, big tall holes in a single bound. I'm single now, got no G'd on a small penis now. And never let another chick bring me down in a relationship. Save it, bitch, babysit, you make me sick. You sis ain't fucking saving shit. Girl, you can jump on a cripple stick.
You insulted me in sarcasm for no reason. Even though he owned you, he left you dead bleeding, receding the earth. Go choke on your own semen. Now you're officially dead, someone please bring out the deacon. Within reason, you're just a lying pansy ass on. You lost Jade to a cripple? Holy mackerel, look how that goes. I'm a nerd, look who's talking. At least I didn't lose my girl to Stephen Hawking.
Hi, Jesus, let me tell you something. I have to let it out. Jade's been sucking my ding. Don't get mad, man. I'll explain why. Well, I don't know why, but I got drunk and had to ejaculate in her eye.
The next to fuck Jade hard was me, bitch. I just love when I witnessed the clapping on her pussy lips. Good thing too, because I thought she'd be shitting hollow. Then I pulled the Carlito Nest. Do you spit or swallow?
We would just completely berate this guy like no tomorrow.
He did start things with us, and he took it personally, and we retaliated personally, but it doesn't make it okay. We brought his ex-girlfriend into it and leaked her picture, and me and Steve just made his life hell. It didn't even matter if it was justified or not. I mean, none of it's justified, but at that point I thought, well, they were a dick to me, even if it was the tiniest thing, and I felt like that gave me full entitlement to make their life hell. With Steve, like me and Steve, we were like best friends when we met. He was my best friend online.
He remembers stuff that I don't even remember.
Well, how about I remind you of back in February or March where you met a girl online who lived relatively near you in New Jersey or New York, and you spoke to her for a month and you actually said you thought you was in love with her. You gave me her AIM name, and Bree started liking me instead of you. Bree swapped nude pictures with me and not you.
I don't even remember this. He knows this stuff. He knows his flaws better than I even remember his flaws.
I didn't care. I just saw a hot girl who liked me, and I did that. I'm amazed that Steve is still my friend after this many years. I did have an online relationship with a girl in America who cheated on her boyfriend with me. Cheated in quote marks. That didn't work out.
And he would tell me these things like he fell in love with her. The problem was with that at this time, she was very promiscuous. She was very, let's just say she was committing infidelity with this individual that she was in a relationship with, sending her nudes to everybody, this, that, and the other. And I just did not understand, even at that time, why he was so infatuated with this girl. The thing is, though, is that we had done projects on my YouTube channel in which I had given him access to my channel for him to upload. His response to me after just an argument was to completely delete my channel.
I closed Monoxide's account. And when he insulted Alyssa, I knew that was the time to do it.
Remember those days where you used to cry to me all the time about Alyssa, and cry about why she would not talk to you, or why she wouldn't date you, and why your life is this, and why your life is that, stupidly letting a female get in the way of this friendship. Just like you're allowing whatever problem you have with me now get in the way of our friendship.
But then I started talking to a girl called Ashley.
I thought he was sarcastic in a very charming way. And I thought he was really super sweet when he wanted to be. And I thought he was very vicious, for one, very vicious. But I don't know, I kind of digged that at the time, I guess. We were talking for a while and we became friends. And then after a while, we just started to talk about, you know, like dating and stuff, saying, I love you too, and all this. And I knew he had like a temper, but I wasn't really bothered by it at the time. I was like, Everybody's got a temper.
We had obviously been friends on YouTube for 2 years, and my life was miserable over here. Again, you know, I was in a job I hated. I had no friends. I had no girl. My family didn't talk to me.
I thought he was really cool in all this, and I thought he was charming. I thought he was very funny. And, you know, I ended up growing to love him.
I had this animosity towards my parents for how my dad had treated me and how my mum let him treat me that way.
And he was talking about coming to America to be with me and all this stuff. And I was like really super excited because like I'd never dated an English guy before. This is like my first time.
I trashed my parents' house and I run away from home.
There's one thing I know about him is that he's always had a temper. And like it's like, don't piss him off. Mr. Don't give a fuck, don't piss him off. So I try to stay on his good side.
I basically used Ash, as a scapegoat. I was very honest with her and told her months later, but yeah, it was an excuse to start a new life.
He was telling me he still had feelings for somebody else, which that hurt. That hurt a lot. I didn't want to make him think I wasn't upset about it, but I was. And I said, well, I appreciate your honesty. Which is true. I appreciated it, and even though it kind of sucked and it hurt, but
I was 17 with severe social anxiety. Having the courage to do that is insane, and I don't regret doing it. It tested me and it made me a lot stronger as a person. I do regret trashing the house, and I do regret not letting my mum know that I was safe. I was getting on the plane and she texted me. She was actually on holiday in Portugal, asking me to come back and that she wasn't mad. I felt like shit. So I went from London Heathrow to Chicago, Illinois, where I then got a taxi to the Greyhound bus station, where I then took a bus to St. Louis, and then 2 of her friends picked me up and drove me to Sullivan. In person, it's completely different, so I felt like I had to maintain the YouTube persona, the YouTube facade that I had going to try to impress her, because that was the guy that she fell for. Obviously, me and Ash were happy. And I think everybody has this phase as teenagers where they think they're above everybody else, you know, fuck the system. You have this rebellious stage, and we definitely had that. I was angry at the world, and I thought the world owed me something. So I would go out of my way to make people's lives hell, even if they had nothing to do with what caused me pain. Nothing to do with what was making me upset or angry or depressed. I just wanted to make everybody miserable because that's what I was. I just immediately assumed that everybody was my enemy. Any tiny argument, even if it wasn't an argument, even if someone just did something that I wasn't happy with, or they didn't do something that I wanted them to do, I immediately thought, right, well, they're not my friend, they're my enemy, they don't like me.
You know, I had my ex Josh at the time trying to cause trouble between us. It's like me and my ex Josh had a history, whereas me and Rob sort of just kind of didn't have that long of a history, I guess you could say.
I had this idea that sex and a relationship validated you as a person. So now that I had sex and had a girlfriend, I now thought that I was better than everybody else. This led to more arrogant videos, cursing people out and thinking I was the shit.
I don't give a fuck, mum, I wanna bust you with my erection. Fuck your motherfucking tits and then your rectum. Fuck you so hard your pussy will need inspecting, and your fucking clit will need an attendant, cause you raised a motherfucking demon with a penitent. You wanted a decent son but now you can forget it. Mother, you are a whore, all the dudes run away from ya, and no doubt this attitude and language will alarm ya. Dad, you tried hitting me one day, I was forced to harm ya. I'm glad cancer killed your motherfucking mama. Probably a slut who received more cock than Pamela. And I can rap like this until my fucking throat swells sore. My motherfucking mother board your spells, whore. I've been fucking Ashley hardcore until her legs sore. God damn, I'm glad I ain't that jealous, lonely Josh.
It must hurt that I want Ash from another continent. I would call you a fag, but for you that's a compliment. Let's link out the fact you admit you experiment. You fucked the guys and bragged it to Ash with merriment. Poor fucking faggot, lost your dog, booger shit. Fucking mutt thankfully got shot dead in St. Louis, and now your life is where it belongs, in the gutter, prick. You think of me and Ash were you with the girls, blubber shit. You had no friends, but I shouldn't have bothered, kid. And poor Josh, he got raped by his own father's dick. You father raped your ass and you begged for some more. You wanted his shaft to break your spinal cord. You claimed to be the most powerful pagan, yeah, counting who? Fucking World of Warcraft nerd with your chips and Mountain Dew. And one time you lasted just a minute and a half. I know how you can fix your life, kill it, it's a start. You're getting dissed, bro. I'm glad your Grandpa Joe fucking dropped dead. The arsehole deserved it, yo. I'm 18 years old and in shit with the police. Mr. calls the pigs and wants this to cease. Cops got me to remove it, but guess what you see? Telling you to top yourself and a damn Lord G. His name is Sarcasm, spitting and bursting again. Josh, you met Chasm and now you're acting like him. You were genuinely normal before then, you met Chasm and figured Jesus actually likes to fuck him in orgasm. Better imitate him, start listening to Eminem. Never before listen to him, you always will have to, never backwards. I guess Chasm, you wanna bash him, bat him and whack him. We shook hands and you lodged your thought abort him. Cause you ain't got the sack to attack him. You can't out-rap him, so it makes your brain spasm. Based on the amount of penis they've witnessed, they're infested. Michael enjoyed Kerry cause a cherry I caressed it. The dude dumped your Sarah, I know he didn't care, I also wouldn't molest it. Only good for tits, but I'd spit swap in the chest of tits. Wanna rip off of your brain just for games and digest it. Sarah has the IQ of my poo, yeah she wished it. I easily humped you ho, I dumped you both, I was desperate but you fixed it. I wanna eat your cervix and your ribs and use your blood to mix it. But I listen, she be faking one, an easy fuck, she'll be waiting high, she'll be drinking one and you'll be mating. I dated a bitch Sarah, but you obsessed over Rachel. She don't want you, now she a rock muncher. 26, virgin, never had a bitch. Hey, you sad dumb fucker. You obsessive faggot New Yorker who can't rap, hypocrite, can't talk shit, and who has no dad.
All of these songs would leak private information. Like, what I'm showing you is the censored versions. In the actual tracks, I leaked their full names. Some of them I leaked where they lived. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. There were many other diss tracks that are no longer around. Just trust me, they were a lot worse than what I've shown you here.
I felt happy for the first like, say, a couple years with Rob. I thought I was really happy, and that we ended up getting married.
Ash and I got married very quickly after that to try to stay together with a visa, and then not long after that,
we ended up finding out that I was pregnant a month later, and what I thought at the time is like I thought like things were just going way too fast. It was like first marriage, then a baby a month later. It's like, oh, I think we were just both really young at the time, and you know we weren't done being young kids. We didn't have time to work on ourselves to get to that point in our life, to be serious and more mature.
April 2009, I fell for a girl online, and to be honest, I wasn't even in love at the time, but I hated my life, so I took a risky blow, flew to her in America. I just had to know if she was the one for me, and I was absolutely right. Our love grew, and my heart pieces would reunite. I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life, and in August 2009, I made Ashley Eads my wife.
It wasn't enough for him to be married to this girl. He had to now attack the person that he felt manipulated him, used him, or whatever. But he went out of his way to make a diss track. I think he made a diss track jokingly saying he was going to rape her or something.
I was 18 and she was 17, and I did this angry diss track about raping her, and I think I said a lyric about ripping out her intestines and using them to floss. And obviously, the YouTube wrestling community were furious at me, and rightfully so. But I thought I was a badass, you know. There was a big Skype call. You know, some of them were in their 20s, and they'd drag me in a Skype call, and they would just flip at me. You know, calling me out of order and downright disgusting for how I'm treating this young girl. I thought it was hilarious, you know. I thought I was so cool. I didn't really care how my words or actions affected anyone. I did what I said, I did what I wanted, and I said what I wanted. And the fact that this was another human being behind a screen and behind a keyboard never really entered my mind.
Trust me, there is so many things that I've gone through with this guy. He made a video on his channel once in which he was laying in bed, he had a blanket over him and some sort of ice pack on his head. And it wasn't exaggerated, it wasn't like over-the-top comedy. He was trying to present himself as really ill and sick, and basically said that he doesn't have much time left and he's saying goodbye to his YouTubers, and then he just, that was it. And I couldn't get in contact with him for however long it was, and I was just like, is he okay? What the fuck happened? Is he sick? Is he... What happened? I have no information. He didn't tell me shit. And then that's when I got into contact with a mutual friend. I don't even remember who the mutual friend is. That's how my memory is shot. And they basically explicitly told me, oh yeah, it was a joke, this, that, and the other. It was not meant to be taken seriously. And that's when I was really pissed, because it was just like, that was uncalled for. It was super uncalled for to get me all worked up over nothing.
I thought any attention is good attention. You know, I could do whatever I want. I could fake dying. I could do diss tracks. I could piss people off. As long as everyone was looking at me, that's all that mattered. While I was over there, I began Cinematic Venom on October the 11th, 2009. There was no intent for it. I wasn't like, yes, this is the first episode. I was doing a bunch of comedy videos at this point, and this just seemed like another one of those. It was awful. The lighting was trash. It was filmed in Ashley's dad's spare bedroom. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just, I saw Channel Awesome, I saw the Nostalgia Critic, and I was like, hey, I want to do that. It was awful. I think I filmed 3 reviews there, and they were just really bad. Her life over there, you know, my family is in no way, you know, well off, but we were better than her family in America, so we decided we had to come back here in order to financially be able to provide for our child.
It was kind of overwhelming for me, because, like, I was leaving everything I knew behind. But at the same time, I was being very optimistic for, like, a fresh new start in life. And a fresh new start for our baby.
I started trying to post more reviews, you know, on a scheduled basis, including the iconic Home Alone 4 review with Jimmy.
So I got to know Rob as one of these bedroom creatives in that I was originally just, when I was reviewing music online, he was doing his sort of own music, you know, making it and producing it at home, and so I started reviewing a bit of that, and then we got into contact, became friends, and then I learnt about all of the other things he did. And like I say, I was just kind of impressed at the body of material that he was producing. Although most of it felt like kind of undisciplined, it was, like I say, the fact he was following through and completing so many of these projects. Just over time, he got me interested in the videos he was making. I was like, these are interesting, these little review videos. Not really my kind of thing, but I was, you know, like, again, I was just intrigued by the fact that this guy was doing this stuff and completing this stuff.
I got really depressed. I suffer with depression, and I suffer with PTSD, and I suffer with bad anxieties, especially stress anxieties. And I felt, at the same time, I was optimistic about going to a different country and living there, but at the same time, I was really depressed. Because, like, this was just kind of, like, all happening so fast. And I felt kind of like it was like whiplash.
And then my son was born on June the 24th, 2010. She was then deported in December that year. She had to leave and apply for a visa and come back. So she was gone 6 months.
I missed him. I was away from my baby, and I was away from him. I was really depressed.
Got home from the airport and lied, I'd leave flat, helpless, and that's when I finally snapped, screaming, why has it all gone wrong? Looking in my son's eyes as if he's saying, where's mummy's gone? You turned my life around and you made it worth living.
You can just see how arrogant I was, how insensitive, how selfish and self-centered I was.
Okay, I just want to say that my wife Ash, who has been in past reviews, has been deported, so I'm stuck with the baby.
Unfortunately, during her time back in America, Ash was unfaithful.
We had an open relationship agreement thing. At least that's what I thought we had. And you know, we were gonna kind of see other people while we were separated, but as soon as I got back, that it was just gonna be me and him. When I got back, it was me and him for a while, but then I found out that he was constantly flirting with a lot of girls. I mean, he did that while I was pregnant, and I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was just to sit there and look pretty, and while I watched him flirt with other girls, and it really made me upset. I just accepted it. And
it was banter. It was purely banter. I have never cheated, would never cheat, but it didn't make her feel great, even though she was too nice to say anything. And I carried on doing it. The thing is, both of us were terrible parents. We were awful. You know, we weren't neglectful. We obviously we didn't starve Eric or anything like that. But we didn't provide him the love and support and affection that he needed, which is something I am now struggling to repair the consequences of to this day.
After I had Eric, I was suffering with postpartum depression. Really bad. I wasn't always the best mom. I made mistakes. He kind of made me feel like I should have just known everything about being a mom. And I was like, I didn't. I was young. I was just now having a baby. I was like, I did not know what I was doing. I was still trying to figure out, but he made me feel like I was supposed to know these things. And it's like, I just felt really depressed. Like, he tried to convince me to quit smoking, and I get it, I understand. That's fine. But it wasn't done on my terms. He wanted everything to be done on his terms. I felt trapped. I felt like he didn't love me for who I was. He was trying to like change me and stuff, and I just felt like really depressed. I felt alone. I didn't feel like I had a husband who was very supportive. I felt like in a way he was trying, but at the same time I felt like he more or less judged me rather than being a supportive of me and understanding me. And like I opened up to him about some stuff about my past, and instead of him comforting, he kind of just picked on me about it. I guess he just kind of looked at me differently after that. And
we were both awful parents. And you know what? We were both also awful partners. I'm not going to sit here and make out like those 5 years were constantly miserable, because obviously they weren't.
And then you came into my life and gave me a reason, and actually bore is the only reason that I'm still breathing. Ignore anyone who says anything bad about you, cause I'd be a rotten corpse if I were without you. I owe you my life, everything I see or achieve. I owe you every bit of success in this dream.
I wouldn't say our marriage was all bad. I mean, we did have moments where it was romantic. It was, we laughed together, for one. And we did have our good moments. Like one point he made me laugh so hard. I think this was before marriage and the kid, before marriage and Eric, that he made me laugh so hard that I fell to the ground, just laughing. I just couldn't breathe.
Ash had been unfaithful, and she lied a lot to me. And then there was me, who would obsess over YouTube and neglect her a lot. We lived with my parents in the same house. It was a nightmare. Arguments were very, very commonplace in that house.
As a kid, you do what your parents say because they're your parents. But once I became an adult, I could stand up to them. Which, you know, when you clash 4 egos together, it was just a lot of arguments. And it was just a miserable experience in that house.
I remember one in particular, I was having an argument with Ash and my dad joined in, not even knowing the context of the argument, and just joined her side and started insulting me as a person, as a father, as a son, as a husband. A whole argument ensued, and I stormed out of the house. I went to a nearby lake with the full intent of killing myself.
So this was where I mean, technically it wasn't a suicide attempt, but the argument just spiraled out of control. I felt like I was just no good to anyone. I can't swim, and I just stared out, wanting to jump in. I stood here almost in a trance for about an hour. People just walked past, and eventually I just went home. I didn't go through with it. I went home, and I never actually told my wife about that incident. I didn't want to scare her. We made amends, but that was the closest like suicidal tendencies I had since becoming a father. So that was quite intense.
I wanted so badly to just throw myself in there and drown and die. At that point, I felt like I was failing as a father, I was failing as a son, and I was failing as a husband. So why do I need to continue living? Again, all of this whilst still producing content. All you see is the smile on my face and not realize what I was going through. Not to say I wasn't a douchebag. I had friends that I would do diss tracks on and insult in the meantime. Depression makes you upset about the past. Anxiety makes you upset about the future. When you've combined them, it's a living hell inside your own brain. Anytime anyone would be slightly negative towards me, I would immediately think they're out to get me. I wouldn't take the time to step back, let myself calm down, and then reanalyze the situation.
It was like every week Rob would be telling me about the latest friend who he never wants to speak to again, and I was always sort of thinking, I wonder when this is going to be me. I wonder when this is going to be me who has this big falling out with. And eventually that time came.
Me and Ash moved out and got our own place on August the 26th, 2011.
And that's when we moved in here. I was 20. I believe the first review here was actually the Goonies. You would recognise like certain areas of this location from several videos because I've now been living here 9 years. Dark Knight Stumbles was literally filmed just up there, so there's a whole lot of area here that was used in videos that you'll recognise.
You know, after we got like financial difficulties under control, we were happy. Reviews were like very, very slow now. You'd get months between reviews. You consider yourselves lucky, guys. Like, you'd get reviews so quickly now. But back then, you'd have to wait like 4 months for a new episode. I brought Alex on board to help write the show, and then we started a second season. At this point, I actually gained a bunch of friends. Me and Mandy reconnected, and we became best friends. Me and Aaron were talking again. Danny from my work was now involved. I had a bunch of people who wanted to be a part of Cinematic Venom and YouTube. Unfortunately, a lot of people that I was surrounded by were complete yes men. I could produce any garbage content and they would lap it up and say how great it was. So when I would put out a video which was just offensive for the sake of being offensive, they would just laugh it up and I'd have no feedback. You know, I couldn't make a bad video in their eyes, and it was really damaging to me as a content creator. But because I had low self-esteem, people said I was doing great things, so I just ate it up and I kept them around. That's when the ego started to grow, and I believed that I was making the world's best content. I even recorded a song.
Now I'm getting views on my web show. Suddenly you all are my very best bros. I got a little buzz, so you're brown noses lyricists just to get a few YouTube appearances.
Like, at this point, I had about 400 subscribers. And this was posted on the music channel, so I had even less, maybe like 100 or so. But because of all these people acting this way, I thought I was like Tupac or something.
There was hardly any cuddling, and I'm a very affectionate person. I like to cuddle. I would like, one time I remember I was asking if I can cuddle with him watching a movie. He said no, because you tend to fall asleep. And I was like, well, yeah.
I mean, you could tell that me and Ash weren't very happy. Just hear what I said in some of the old reviews.
Everybody has these feelings. Everybody. We've all thought about having an affair on our spouse. How hot it would be to sneak around behind their back and have sex with
Ash. He thought it would be hot to sneak around behind your back. Unsubscribe now.
We've all had that sexual fantasy. And yes, we've all thought about ignoring the rules and fucking over the people we don't like. But the problem is, we don't actually do it.
So I kind of felt lonely sometimes. I had to leave my family and my friends behind. I had to leave my home to be with him and, you know, to provide a better life for our kid. And I felt like it just kind of went all downhill from there, and I fell into a really bad depression. I don't think he quite understood that at the time, but I was really depressed. I don't know if he ever paid attention. He was really into the whole cinematic Venom thing, so deep into it. It was like one of his passions. And you know, I try to be supportive and be a part of that with him. Sometimes it was pretty easy. Especially with the movie reviews, because that only took like maybe a few hours.
With Alex, we fell out because he committed to Cinematic Venom originally and then backed out about a year later and said that he wanted to focus on music instead. And I
had trouble comprehending the fact that no one cared as much as I did. You know, I would send my YouTube videos to people who didn't even do YouTube or didn't even watch YouTube. I'd ask people to be in my movie that had no experience in acting and didn't even watch my videos, but I was just that obsessed. And when Alex couldn't do it or didn't want to do it as much, it annoyed me.
But the movie that we did,
he invited me to do this movie with him. And I was like, wow, okay, this is going to be interesting.
It was a brainchild idea with him and Alex.
I had grown bored of movie reviews at this point. I was still making them during all of this drama, but I felt like everyone did them and they were all the same. So I thought, you know what, Dark Knight Stumbles, let's just end it there.
I thought it was pretty cool that a lot of us were getting together making this project called Dark Knight Stumbles.
What a wonderful title.
In early 2013, that's when we did the shooting. And unfortunately, the camera that was used wasn't in studio condition. We had gone over the script several times going into it. The problem was that was WrestleMania weekend, so we only had a finite amount of time to really film that. So we had to film more in Florida when I took a vacation down there with Alex, who would play Bane. The movie was pretty much in developmental hell for about 2 years.
Yeah, I kind of knew it was going to be a little bit amateurish. I kind of got that, and I was aware from the beginning that his ambition was outstripping what I think he had the ability to do. But it didn't really hit me until I arrived just how cheap it was going to be. I remember when he gave me like one of the main roles, because I'd done acting previously, nothing huge, but I'd done acting previously. He gave me one of the main roles, and it was playing like Two-Face. Now, I'm not really into comic books. I don't really know much about comic books, but I knew this character and I knew the whole deal, and I was always like, well, how are we going to do the face thing? And at first I thought it was going to be something like painted on or something like that, and then he was mentioning about this prosthetic thing, you know, like a mask, and I'll be honest, I've got a bit of a phobia about putting things on my face anyway. I'm just kind of not a big fan of that. Glasses is okay, but I'm not really into like masks and stuff, so except for COVID, that's okay. You know, I arrive and he's saying, oh, I've got this thing, it's going to fit well onto you, it'll be okay, and then just over time it's like, actually, it's probably not going to fit so well, and he's just slowly talking backwards from it, and then I arrive and we put this thing on, and it just was awful. Just hanging off of my face, it looked bad, everything about it was awful, and then I'm wearing this outfit that is just ill-fitting, looks like someone's cut it from a tablecloth, you know, it's got like no shape, the fabric's just awful, just the whole thing looked so cheap. And yet at the same time I was like, it's impressive, this guy's managed to find all these outfits for everyone.
During the filming, it was very tiring and exhausting, especially since like I was doing this and plus I had to go pick up our son from school. So I was very tired and very exhausted. Like it was like even after the end of it, I couldn't rest or anything like that. And at the same time, I had fun doing it. That's the thing, I did.
It was messy, full of drama, disorganized, but ultimately had a lot of ambition. And that's kind of what I think drew myself and so many other people to the project. It was very ambitious, because you get so many of these people who, what I would label as bedroom creatives, who talk a big game about wanting to do big things, but they never get made. Everyone was kind of having fun, and I think Rob and his friends his local friends who he had spent more time with in person, they obviously had a lot of in-jokes and they were having a lot of laughs, but I think for those of us who weren't actually part of that group who had sort of come here to do this thing, we were kind of thinking, what have we walked into? And you know, you can't really back out. Once you've started something like that, you're like, well, you know, it's an amateur project, everyone's kind of having fun, it's all unpaid, so it's like I can't really back out of this, but okay, let's see it through. And then I remember watching the footage back and being like, this looks really cheap. You know, there's no lighting. The lighting hasn't been done at all. It became clear that Rob didn't even know what camera angles he wanted for a lot of this stuff. He just kind of had this script, and then the scripts, you know, we were actually actively pointing out while we were recording, this script is full of contradictions. It's like characters are saying things that totally contradict what they said like 2 lines earlier. And it became clear that setting himself up as the writer, director, actor, whole thing, he'd bitten off a lot more than he could chew. And so for me, what was impressive there is that he took it as a learning experience. You know, he went away and he said, okay, this doesn't work. He finished the movie anyway because he put so much effort into it, but he appeared to have, you know, learned from that.
I accepted suggestions on set, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was never bossy. I didn't mistreat anyone on set.
I just was laughing how you said action.
I'm so sorry. Try again.
Right, okay.
Action!
I was a very immature, I was like a kid at Disneyland, just running around with a camera. It wasn't very structured. You know, I had fun, and a lot of other people told me that they had fun as well. So it was an experience.
He was a really big perfectionist. He wanted everything to be perfect, and it's like, if you make one mistake, nope, gotta do it again. Sometimes during the filming, I felt more like one of his actresses more than his wife.
Filming the movie was a nightmare.
One of the scenes that I remember doing very much with Rob for the movie was one where, you know, so we've all just arrived, we're wearing these absolutely awful costumes and feeling like a bunch of real fools. And then it's like, okay, we now have to go and shoot a scene out in like a play area, like in a field, a public field, down the end of the street.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's no dialogue at the moment. I'm just filming this because I want people to take in exactly what today looked like.
And we all just walk outside of his house in a relatively rough area. You know, you've got the chavvy kids running by on their little push bikes and everything. And we're standing there looking like a bunch of pillocks. And there was this kind of moment, all right, let's go all walk over into a public space and act out these scenes together. And just as we were walking over there, it was kind of, yeah, I think one kid actually rode by and said something ridiculous on his push bike. And we just kind of all looked at each other and we were like, you know what though, we're kind of having fun here. And everyone was kind of laughing and giggling, and just, I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, oh God, I hope no one ever sees this movie. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what, this is kind of a fun day. And that to me was one of the big things. There was always this sense of camaraderie around the project. And I think that was born of the fact that everyone was just really taken by his ambition. You know, when we said things to him like about, you know, this script doesn't make sense, or Rob, have you actually considered when someone walks into the room where they're going to be in the next camera shot? Have you thought about any of this? We weren't saying it to slag him off. We were saying it because we kind of all wanted him to get something decent out of it. But ultimately, the movie wasn't what he got out of it. I think the lesson was what he got out of it, and that moved on into his future work.
I would say after 3 years of doing that film, I really enjoyed my time doing it. Is the quality great? No, but the movie basically downright tells you the quality ain't great. We understand the quality ain't great. We're not a high production movie studio. We are just a bunch of people that just wanted this brainchild to come to life. And I think we did better than what we should have done given the circumstances.
I just bought a book that said how to set up your shots, and I thought, I can make a movie now. You know, we planned it in 2012 when I was doing awful productions, and I felt like I could make a movie. How hard could it be? It was just pure ignorance. It was a mess. It was fun to make. It was absolutely fun to make. You know, there were issues constantly. Aaron no-showed the first filming day. You can see behind the scenes I'm miserable, like texting people, trying to work something out. But the people I filmed with were absolutely amazing. And we had a blast, despite how disorganized a mess it really was.
There was an individual in the movie that was accused of rape. Their scenes are still in the film, only briefly. They're only in it for about a minute, which I do regret. Me and this person had drama, and Aaron was related to people who were involved with this drama, and he was worried that if he showed up on this day there would be an awkward tension between him and me. But when he didn't show up, it ruined my mood. We didn't talk for about, I want to say about 2 years.
Since it was finished, I don't think at any point I have been able to sit down and watch the entire thing from start to end, because it's that awful. I really, I can't describe how unwatchable that movie is. And yet at the same time, I'm just incredibly impressed that it exists. That he managed to finish this thing that had like all of this dramatic stuff filmed in the UK with like the costumes and all that stuff, and the scenes with people in America and YouTube celebrity guest appearances and stuff like this. It just amazes me that the thing ever got completed. And I think that's something that we have to remember, is as awful as that film is, there's not many people who would have actually followed through and actually completed something like that. So I always take that away as a bit of a positive from Rob's perspective. But obviously over time, he's got much more professional what he did. It was, all of these problems seem to be based around the fact that he just too much ambition, too much putting his own feelings into things without ever seeing from other people's perspective that other people didn't have the same investment in what he was doing.
Howard and I have had our differences as well, especially with music. I recorded my first album in 2014 and I nearly even did a diss track on him.
It was just a shame that everything with Rob had to end in a massive argument.
I felt like he was letting me down, but then we made up.
It was another case of me overthinking things. Howard would do something and I would think, this is what he really wants to do. And that's how anxiety works. Say you're at work in the staff canteen. All you have to do is take a packet and go and put it in the bin. But your anxiety makes you think, everyone's going to be watching me, everyone's going to laugh at me. There's nothing for them to laugh at, but your anxiety doesn't care. Your anxiety will feed you lies that they're going to laugh at you. You can be driving along and you'll be reversing out of a space or something and you think everyone's watching you. That's what it's like to live with anxiety. And again, I'm not blaming it. I'm blaming myself for how I reacted to it.
Rob at the time, he liked to have these big blowouts, and it would usually be followed by him doing, because he was doing a lot of rap music at the time, he would usually do a diss song about anyone he'd fallen out with.
Dear Aaron, still no reply, I hope that this ends. I am mad, I just think's messed up that you don't answer friends. If you didn't want to be in my film, man, you didn't have to. You could have showed up to shoot, you were my cameraman, dude. That was my dream, man. We were stuck with no notes, we filmed in the cold for 5 hours and your nose showed it. That's really crappy, man, you were like my freaking brother. There was no other friend I loved as much as I loved you. Louis said better late than never, but then you and my boy almost got together. And you were the first girl to make it feel not worthless until your old self once again resurfaced. And you rejected his house for another abusive. I got mad when I said your stupidity was conclusive. And you wonder why you can never keep a fella, cause your personality is deader than old Yeller. I was never gonna be dropping your names, but Sean was socking this dame.
And he hadn't learnt his lesson that he'd done diss songs before and then become friends with the people again. And diss songs, you have to be very careful before doing a diss song, because if you do a diss song, you can never erase that. If you become friends with a person again, you live with that song forever. But I was really impressed that before he went to do a song about me, he actually asked me permission. It was like, well, not even so permission, he was just like, look, is it okay if I do this song? Because I feel like I have lots of things I want to say. And I've sort of said to him, well, realistically, no, because most of the people who he disses were not musicians, so like they had no recourse. But I was like, well, I do music, so if you diss me, I will respond. And I was like, neither of us really wants to be doing that, do we? And so he ended up not doing it. But then again, by the same token, I had a little EP that I was putting out, which was just songs that I had done that weren't really, I didn't really want to use for anything. They were just kind of random songs that people who followed my social media might have been interested in hearing. And one of the songs on there was a song that was about a totally different person who I'd known for years, and it was kind of like directed in a similar way. It was kind of like a diss song to him, but he was a musician, this other guy, and the song was clearly not about Rob. But as you can probably imagine where this is going, Rob got really angry and thought the song was about him, even though any listen to the lyrics was very clearly not about him. He thought the song was about him.
This is all that I know since years ago. Brothers in crime through the high and low. Most of the latter, we were bruised and battered. Our souls born like Versace, now ripped old tatters. And it matters to me when I see you falling apart. Yeah, a victim of your art. You've been playing this game so long your life didn't even start. And this game ends early and you're down on your luck. I'm on my way up, but I kept my head down and my mouth shut. And we were still working like brothers, always in the same circle. If I had the slightest clue that you found what I was doing was hurtful, we could have talked. Instead you had to walk around saying everyone had a downer on you. Did you even believe that was true?
And to me that just kind of again typified this whole, everything was just a ball of massive emotions. Everything had to be responded to with a huge emotional outburst. Nothing was ever just simple and calm.
You love my 2 albums, but now you hate them all.
What?
You say you need to make tracks more relatable. And then you proceed to release your own stuff and seem to hold the secret of how to blow up. But I get more views and I have more followers. So your secrets, bro, when are they gonna follow up? And why is your album the same devious stuff, literally repeated from your previous ones?
Why?
You this my crap, why you being this mean? Is it because you rap since you were 15 and it eats you up that this big freak spits these bars 1,000,000 times better? Yeah, bitch please. Talk over me, you can't flow properly. Try actually rapping, man, have a go. Honestly, claiming to be so knowledgeable, but that's the day Harvard College will fall. I need medication to deal with my depression and to deal with my anxieties, but he was like all saying, oh, they're just placebos, they don't work. You know, we've always been taught, you know, to follow with your husband. And so that's what it was like. He could be a bit controlling. I mean, he was. When I was married to him, he was a bit controlling. I couldn't do anything that he was doing. Like, he can do stuff, you know, grotesquely flirt with these women, but yet if I say something wrong with another guy, he would like flip out on me. I do understand from his viewpoint, he wasn't used to how I was brought up. He kind of had a different life than I did.
Me and Ash separated. There was not even any, at least on my part, this sounds really harsh, but I wasn't upset. It was more of relief. Ash and I hadn't been happy for a while. The thought of us breaking up never really entered my mind. She was devastated. I consoled her. I said, we can still be friends. You know, you can stay here as long as you want until you get a job and get your own place.
He decided he wanted to end our marriage. But he said he wanted it ended on a happy note. And I was like, okay. And then I went into an even deep depression because I felt like I failed as a wife and a mother.
This unfortunately didn't work out, and she actually left the country about 6 months later and hasn't returned since.
You know, I've been like the main one with him, you know, making projects and stuff for the cinematic Venom thing, and then I ended up leaving because we ended up going through a separation, and you know, it was like bad after bad after bad, and I just felt so depressed. And I was like, I don't know how to make any of this situation better. I mean, granted, I wasn't perfect. I was making mistakes as well as he was, but I think it was both of our faults.
There was fault on both sides.
I kind of wasn't happy with myself, but I wasn't happy with him either. He can be very nasty with his words. I pretty much felt alone. And it didn't help that he constantly went to his friends and just badmouthed me all the way. But I couldn't say nothing. I only had like maybe a good couple friends I could talk to that was up there. There was one night we ended up getting into a great big argument after our separation, and he said, "You're going back to America, pack your stuff and meet with my mom," or something along the line of that. Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday that I was supposed to meet up with her. So I ended up doing what he told me to do. I ended up going there, booking my flight home.
I said it out of anger. I didn't actually expect her to do it, especially so easily. I just didn't want her living with me anymore, and she thought that was the only possible solution, was to leave.
I was supposed to have a return flight to come back, but that didn't end up happening. And then we were going through a divorce, and I knew he was automatically going to get custody of Eric, which was really painful. It was, because like I couldn't go back and do anything about it. I didn't have no money to get back, and he wasn't going to help me get back either. So it was either, he basically said, if you want to come back, you're going to have to come back on your own. The day of my return flight, I missed it because I overslept, and the car that was supposed to take me back ended up breaking down. So I didn't have a way to get back, so I was stuck down here.
I can't lie though, when she left the country, that night was really difficult. We weren't really talking anymore, So the flat was mostly silent, but when she left, that night was, you know, once Eric was in bed, it was just an uneasy silence. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to like this. I can't handle this.
I was lonely and I was panicking.
Ash was my first proper girlfriend. And after being with her for 5 years, where we lived together instantly, with a child as well, I didn't know how to cope. I thought, I'm not going to be able to handle being single. I can't do this.
I didn't know how to date. So it was just awkward. I just was really socially awkward with girls and pushed them away. It was really creepy. I would just get attached to any female. Any female I would immediately think I was falling in love with, including my best friend Mandy.
1995, it was September, a time that I will forever remember. We were 3 preschool, we served time. You and I met and we'd soon learn why. While you dated guys, I struggled married life. But I was in hell and I always carried lies. But I could never put none past you. We were inseparable and then my marriage crumbled. And not long after, my sanity and panic stumbled. I chased after every other girl buzzing, thinking it was obviously love when it wasn't. You were always here and now, happiness found me. And through the struggle, I'm glad I had you around me.
Being a single father was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, you know. But in that same respect, it was one of the most rewarding. You know, we were each other's rock.
Every morning, pain is reset as you jump on my bed. Cheeky smile, when I love you, it's said. You've helped me through much more than you know. And you're why I'm here with a story to be shown. I owe you my life and I hope it is right. I hope that you're happy as I hold you so tight. The other doesn't care and they don't show. But I hope though you're happy with me as both roles.
Yeah, it did damage my depression a lot being on my own. Obviously I wasn't on my own, I had my son, but there's a lot of pressure and stress, and the loss of not only a partner, but the mother of your child is, you know, is very difficult to get through.
We fought a lot, but I think that's part of, you know, divorce and separation and, you know, being angry at each other and going, "Urgh." I wasn't surprised at all that he put me in diss tracks, because that's how it was. Piss him off, you're going in a song.
I just wanted to turn her into Kim, basically. I was Eminem and she was Kim, and I did just so many tracks insulting her.
How can a person like cheat steal to a guy who would feel so tight and would deal with all of your nonsense, and who confided, who listened, would care and intent I did to your personals that made my head spin. But now our relationship seemed dead thin, but I can do just so much better. But now I just wanna make hostless wetter. Forget a relationship, you stupid crazy bitch. I'm erasing it, I'm hating it, I was always taking stick for everything from everyone. You ruined my life, so thanks for the baby, but screw you, goodbye. You laid hands on me and I didn't hit you back. Nope. Violence is for pussies and this is a fact. Yep. Bitches like you who can't handle truth. Yep. Your new boyfriend, have fun shagging, dude. Looking like goddamn sloth from the Goonies. Admitting that my cock made you woozy, cause it hurt you. I was the best you ever had, but hopefully you'll have a watch, cause the sex was very bad. Maybe it's because you're an unhygienic piece of crap. Yep. I saw excuse for a mum who likes eating sacks. True. I like thief who steals from our closest friends. A whore who cheats to try to show them that she's a rebel, but she's just a lying skank. Yep. Who's so nasty I'd rather bang Iron Man. True. Or should have publicised the fact I went up your thighs, and that crap was so goddamn chubby wide that there was enough room to let Dumbo fly up the sky with an additional 100 guys. Now I'm not saying that she has a long hole, no, but let's just say it's larger than a nostril. Okay. And it's big enough to easily fondle, and it's got enough space to park a Vauxhall. Wow. As you know that I work with raw fish, and I've still never smelled anything like your clip. Aww. You may enjoy that if you've ever caught shrimp, or you wanna crush your foreskin with a forklift.
I thought it was funny. And I thought it was warranted, because in my eyes, you know, she abandoned her child, so I thought she had it coming, and I didn't really care that she was still a human being breathing oxygen.
And then there was at one point where, after all the fighting and everything, I think it was like maybe a year and a half, that we just did not speak at all. I mean, we recently just started speaking again. Everything seems to be okay now. But I can forgive and forget.
I then met a girl who was in a bunch of my videos called Charlotte, and we got together, and, you know, Charlotte was a really nice girl. We got along really well. We weren't together very long. I treated her really badly towards the end of our very short relationship. I neglected her a lot. There were very often times where we would have sex and then I'll just leave her in the room and go off and do something else. It was more, my insecurity and my lack of awareness of relationships. But, it doesn't excuse it. I, didn't take into account her self-esteem and her confidence. And I just didn't treat her very well. And then once I lost her, I tried my best to win her back. And yeah, it just didn't work.
I used to hate to use the word regretting, but now my house just seems so empty. It feels like I have lost my left arm, and if you ever come back, I will end harm. You left me with less scars, and now the memories are the final remaining best parts. Not a day goes by without the image in my head where I went wrong, and I am wishing it was dead, cause you deserve the best, and I'm sorry that I failed you. I messed up my own dream of a fairy tale too.
I was miserable. There's no other word for it. I was miserable. At this point, there was so many reshoots, rewrites and everything. Watching the same scenes over and over again. I just wanted Dark Knight Stumbles out at that point. I was done with it. I knew it sucked. I just wanted it done.
For various reasons, around the time that the movie was finished, me and him really fell out.
He offered to do the music completely free of charge. He didn't do it in time. And that really annoyed me. We had this whole argument about it and didn't talk for, it must be about 3 or 4 years.
It was one of those things where it didn't really need to be such a dramatic falling out. But, as with everything, Rob somewhat overreacted, in my opinion.
It was stupid. I overreacted. He was doing this favour for me completely free.
And said some things that really pissed me off. And then I got angry and I was like, well, look, I'm not gonna hang around and work with someone who... this is kind of an unpaid gig. I felt like, I'm not going to hang around and work with someone who's going to say this kind of stuff. But looking back at it as well, I did a lot of things where I think I treated it too much like, hey, I'm doing this work for free, so I didn't really put as much effort into it. So, there's so many things. You can see it from both sides. I can see why he was probably annoyed with me because of the fact that I was being way too relaxed about the projects that he was so passionate about. Because I was like, well, I'm just unpaid help. And yet at the same time, his reactions were completely just off the wall. But I think that again was because he was so passionate about the project, so passionate about this thing that he's making, so passionate about this thing he's working on.
I don't curse, but you fear how my words slip like Howard Billington's a prick to ever work with. Yeah.
Do I regret doing the movie? Every time I even see a screenshot from it, yes. But assuming that no one ever watches that bloody awful thing, kind of proud I did it to help a friend, and the improvements that I've seen in his channel and his work subsequently, that's kind of more why I'm happy that I did it, was for that. So I think that's the reason why I kept on watching even after we fell out. I think that's the reason why I kept on watching occasionally, just every 6 months, just what's Rob doing on Cinematic Venom? That's better. It looks better. Oh, he's using some effects now. Oh, cool. Oh, wow. He actually learned how to use lighting. Yeah, I'm happy that I was part of that ladder. But please never watch that fucking movie. It's awful.
The videos were just few and far between. I did just mainly pranks. And then I started Let's Plays, which was when I met a special lady.
Hi guys, welcome to finally another episode of Rob vs Mandy. I'm Rob.
I'm Mandy.
She was on my channel a lot. Those were the main, videos then. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It was a mutual breakup, but the way that I handled it afterwards was ridiculous. There was a friend who jumped in and defended me against Mandy. I didn't need defending. This was a completely mutual breakup, and we were both fine with it. Well, obviously, we weren't fine. We were both heartbroken, but we understood that this should have been the end. But this friend intervened. Mandy then thought I had asked this person to do it, which I hadn't. But this person then manipulated me into believing that Mandy was this bitch that she wasn't. She isn't. then acted all Rob, and I sent her abuse and did a diss track. And this isn't the other person's fault for manipulating me, it's me for being so naive and gullible and buying into this person. And she didn't deserve that. Mandy is an absolutely lovely girl. She really is. I cannot say a bad word about her. She helped me a lot when we were together, and she made me very happy. The breakup was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I had pictured a wedding, I pictured being with this woman for the rest of my life, and I was heartbroken. I broke down and just absolutely lost it.
And I know that you make me happy, the only one I love you. You don't want me, I made you angry, I don't blame you, could never hate you. I made mistakes too, but I have changed too, so please forgive me, cause I need you. I know I said this, but now it feels true. I'm getting help now, don't wanna lose you. I never again put no pain through you. Can't describe in words to use to tell you how much I need you truthful. You're my angel, I'll always choose you, and now you're gone and I need you back. I'm missing you, I'm missing you, I'm missing you.
Some friends came over literally the night that we broke up, and I got drunk, and in the video you can't even tell that I'm on the inside, I'm dying. It was during this pain Jimmy pointed me towards a YouTuber who was reviewing a certain book.
Hello, welcome to episode 31 of the Epic Film Challenge, 2001 movies you must see before you die.
I was inspired, and you know what, I didn't even think anything of it. I just said, yeah, I'll do this. So I did the sketch that started it all, and then I thought, you know, how can I make this different? I'm a big fan of Rob Gavagam. He was called Rob Dyke at the time, who does Seriously Strange, and I like the editing style, like the documentary style of his videos. And I thought, why not just do that, but with movies? I did it for a first episode of The Godfather, and people really enjoyed it. It was an escape because I was so depressed at the time. It was just a distraction. During the next few months, I started sleeping around. I thought I'd never have the confidence to do this because I had low self-esteem, especially sexually. But it was kind of a vicious cycle. I was scared of being hurt, so I told the girls, you know, I was very honest, and I thought that made it okay. I said, I'm just looking for no strings attached fun. However, some girls genuinely liked me and wanted to be with me. I didn't care. In my head, I was like, well, I've told you the deal. And then I slept with them anyway. They gave consent, you know, there was nothing like that, but they obviously were upset, and I didn't really care about their self-esteem.
When I was talking to girls, like, I'd almost maintain the YouTube facade like I did with Ash, and just fake confidence, almost acting to try to impress them. I was sleeping with so many different people. It was actually so bad, I nearly slept with one girl, and then about a year later slept with that girl's sister.
I was so hurt and upset by losing Mandy that I didn't want a relationship ever again. I didn't. I was too scared of being hurt and going through all of that heartbreak again.
But when I'd talk to a girl, if they would reject me, and I just wouldn't take no for an answer. I would keep messaging, and it was disgusting behaviour. I just got triggered if I didn't get my own way.
I slept with a girl who I knew had a boyfriend. There's no way to express my remorse, because anytime I apologise, people say it's fake. Anytime I express my remorse, they say it's manipulation, and it's, you know, shifting blame. There's no shifting blame. I am to blame. In October, I started talking to a girl called Ashley, ironically. She helped film the Venom Manor episode with Percy and Michael Myers, and in November, we became a couple. Ashley is the most amazing woman I've ever met. She has a little girl called Alice, who I love like my own. She's honestly changed my world and has sorted me out a lot.
You have loved me when I couldn't love myself. You picked up me when I wanted to give up the help. What I'm trying to say is they don't understand my ways, but you're the reason that I am the man I am today.
And I want to clarify, she is not an enabler. You know, anytime I've done these horrible things, she has laid into me. She has given me a lot of shit for when I fucked up. When we first got together, I treated her horribly. I would talk to other girls and send questionable messages. And these messages weren't malicious. They weren't so I could meet up with these girls. I just thought, it's just banter, nothing's ever going to come of it, so therefore it's okay. Completely disregarding the lack of respect for my partner and
her self-esteem. I did not treat her very well at all for the first few years. You know, I was recognised at a Comic-Con, and this was before Change the Channel or anything. That blew my mind. But it made sense to focus on the more popular channels, so the Let's Plays just weren't being posted, and I just focused on what was popular. It was nuts. I'll be doing a review like every couple of days. I had beef with the commentary community. It didn't bother me.
You know, if I believed you were real people, and not just trolls begging for attention, I'd give you a bit more effort. But I'm not convinced you are. So, you have part of my attention.
Anyway, I hope you see this, man. Hit me back in the crack, I want it bad. I am sad, this is Ernie, bird is in my ass.
And this was when the frustration on YouTube began. People talk about making content, but I don't think they're as honest as they should be. The frustrations as a YouTuber just doesn't get talked about. I would be posting videos and I wouldn't gain a huge fan base, but I had a small community that I was happy with, and I would read every single comment and I would reply to as many as possible. It was just fun with friends. However, I did other content as well. This was the year where I started Seeking Answers, a documentary channel about paranormal investigations, unsolved mysteries, you know, that kind of thing. I also obviously did music, I did YTPs, and I did Let's Plays. People always ask, why don't I just put them all onto one channel? And the thing is, I tried. I tried this about 3 times, and nobody would watch anything that wasn't a movie review. It was frustrating because, one, I don't get why you would only want to watch a movie review. That just sounds really boring to me, personally. I mean, I get it. You're subscribed for one thing and then you start seeing something else. I'm not saying that you need to like every single video I make or every single series, but there was never a time when I would post a different video and people would at least try it for the first one and then, you know, tune out. None of the other videos would even get anyone's attention. I did count my chickens before they hatch, and I think 2017 was the year I tried to do an On This Day series where I'd post a video every single day for a whole year. Just short, like, videos talking about historical facts and trivia that happened on that day in film and television. I really liked doing these, and they didn't take very long to do. And they weren't very long at all. I think the longest one was 6 minutes. People still wouldn't watch. It was very, very frustrating, and I felt restricted because I felt like I can't post anything that isn't a movie review. Regardless, I carried on. That was the first year I did the Venom of Horrors, which was a last-minute idea. It was just fun and casual, and there was no pressure, there was no stress. Behind the scenes, I was a dick to my girlfriend. Before we got together, I was reluctant to get together because of my pain that I went through with Mandy, so I pushed her away, and then there were several times me and Ashley would have minor disagreements, and I would run away again. I would panic and run away at the first sign of conflict, or even not even conflict. I would just panic and break up with her. It wasn't fair on her. You know, we've worked it out and we're so much happier now, but it was a nightmare, and I treated her absolutely horribly. This is where everything just started to go wrong, and this is what led to my decision to end Cinematic Venom. This is where it all began. Change the Channel started in March that year, and I guess I didn't really know the severity of the situation because this was before the Google document, but I decided to make a comedy sketch making fun of the situation. You know, I had done comedy sketches beforehand about relevant topics that I thought would be funny, and none of them got any views. This one got like 10k views overnight or something, which I thought, you know, at the time I only had about 1.5 thousand subs or something like that, and it was crazy. I was like, whoa, 10,000! You know, the Change the Channel people shared them, so I did a part 2. You know, I carried on making them, and then the Google Doc dropped. During this, you know, Tamra Chambers tweeted me asking me to remove her intro. She put it more rudely than that. I think she'd agree with that. And I was a massive prick. So she was wrong for snapping at me and doing it publicly the way she did. She then DM'd me and apologized, and I forgave her. However, Channel Awesome then did their response, and I felt like it wasn't a very good response at the time. And I thought that Tamra was just trying to shift blame and blame it on her mental health. For someone like me who is a big advocate for mental health awareness, I wasn't showing it.
I stuck by your puppet to her on your paycheck. Never once did I attack them in any sketch.
Not once.
Until they attacked me and blamed it on depression. For you attention seekers, how about I teach a lesson?
Listen.
When I look up to you and get excited when you saw my channel and you began typing. So I was tweeting only for my heart to drop, because you blast me publicly like a nasty knob, and then say sorry, it's my depression's fault. Well, you just made mine worse, so I guess I can't hold.
Nope.
And if this fitting song you find offensive, sorry, can't help it, it's my depression.
And I mocked her depression. This was inexcusable. People say I only do YouTube to get famous, which obviously isn't true, because I wouldn't have done it for this long when I'm not famous. I did it for 11 years before I ever got my first payment from YouTube. I make the videos because I love them. But when I've longed for this taking off so much, and I am very proud of my work ethic. Anyone who makes content has to have an ego of some kind, because you have to be proud of what you're producing. Otherwise, what's the point in making it? So when I do these videos and finally I start getting views in, I felt good and I didn't want to let this go. For the next few months, it basically died down, and Change the Channel died for about a year. During this time, I became friends with a YouTuber called Naomi Sanders. Now, 2 months ago, Naomi came out to speak about her experience and claimed that I verbally abused her.
I'm done running and hiding away every time I see your face, every time I see something connected to you, every time I see someone that even remotely knows you. Because I'm scared that they will tell you something about me and you will spread that as lies. And twist it in a way to make it fit your narrative. Because you emotionally and mentally abused me during our friendship in 2018, and you still continue to do so when you made a diss track about me, when you used fake accounts to message me and call me ugly. I am done, Robert Bohr, Cinematic Venom. You cannot make me hide from you anymore. You are a horrible, horrible person. You do all these things, and then when it comes back to you, you claim mental illness and how it's damaging to you. Do you see what you do is damaging to everyone that you know?
Naomi met me through Change the Channel, and we quickly became friends. She had friends who used to be on Channel Awesome, so she was quite, close with Change the Channel. We started talking, and she joined the infamous group chat. She was really into movies, really into music, and she said that I had inspired her to get back into YouTube production. Me and Pete, the Splice guy who I've done reviews with, he drove me to Leeds to film the shock treatment review with her. Filming was fun. It was lots of fun. The weird thing is, in her exposing video, she claims that I tried to force her to make an inappropriate gay joke when she hadn't come out as pansexual yet. I didn't know that she was pansexual, so that part is completely irrelevant. The joke itself wasn't that offensive. In the movie, someone sings to the appliance, "Dear Blender," and I thought, because in the review, Naomi parodies the song,
Why'd you have to fuck up your legacy, dear movie?
I thought it would be funny if my gay character Percy walks in and she sings Dear Bender. Bender being a slur in the UK for a homosexual. Is this offensive? Well, yes, but I don't think it's that crude a joke to cancel someone over. It's a joke. This is another thing with the homophobia thing. You can make gay jokes without being a homophobe. This is what I hate about the 21st century now. You can't make jokes without there being an ulterior motive.
I hate this whole PC culture. You have to watch what you say. You can't say the word fat. You can't say the word slut.
If you make a racist joke, you're racist. If you make a gay joke, you're homophobic. If you make a sexist joke, you're sexist. This literally rules out so many stand-up comedians. She acts like this was such an awful experience, but then she bragged about how much fun it was. This is the annoying thing. People have a go at me for sharing private screenshots. What am I supposed to do? People come out and say things about me. Now, some of it is true, but because some of it's true, they then can insert lies and people will believe it because the other stuff is true.
Because I've done these bad things, people just throw in extra things that aren't true and naturally they get believed. Someone came out and said, I claimed Jimmy molested my son. I never said that, but people automatically believe it. You post a thread on Reddit right now and say Cinematic Venom kicked your dog in the head and people are going to believe it. There was even a thing, like, people are so obsessed with me being a pro-lifer. They twisted that out of context. There's only so many ways I can say it is down to the woman. It is her choice. I personally don't agree with ever having an abortion, but I'm not a woman, so it's not my choice. I have said that constantly, but people twist that and think I'm pro-life, as if that term always baffles me, because, oh no, he's for life, he agrees with living. Like, what? And I'm just supposed to sit here and take it. If I come out with screenshots to prove that this person is lying, I'm wrong for revealing private information. People want evidence, but then when I give it, they complain. Do you want the evidence or not? Or they just say it's fake. I literally can't win. I could show you video evidence and you would say it's edited. Naomi has since came out with private screenshots, and I'm not saying, oh, she can do it so I can. She points out that I make rape jokes. Anything can be joked about, but I find it weird that during filming this happened.
So Janet starts to have a shower.
And I raped her.
Bill.
Sorry. You laughed. You didn't seem offended or anything. And again, if it was that bad, why did you brag about how much fun it was? You're one to talk, you homoerotic faggot.
Well, you ain't gonna get a call from Channel Awesome now.
No, do it again.
What do you think?
Percy, I'm going gay! What's it like filming with CV?
The best experience ever.
They're as bad as each other, but I feel like you're allowed to get away with sexist jokes more. Like, if you say the slightest racist joke, people have to go.
I mean, it's got to go both ways. So that means that us girls are able to make ghost jokes against guys.
But not even that. There's screenshots of her joking about fucking me. There's jokes where I joke about raping her, sure, but then she encourages it. It seems like if I do something wrong, I'm wrong. If she does something wrong, I'm wrong for manipulating her into doing it. That doesn't make any sense, so I'm wrong either way. If she does something wrong, it's still my fault. Skip to, I think, like the next month, I invited her to come and stay with me for a week. That does sound dodgy, asking a woman to come stay with you. You know, Jimmy would come and visit me for a week several times, and we'd just make content all week, and that was the goal with Naomi. I'm a very antisocial person because of my past with the bullying, and my family are quite, you know, introverted as well. I don't see people very often. I don't socialize a lot, so I'm indoors basically all the time. That's the obsession with YouTube began with that very thing. I was inside all the time, and the internet was my escape. The internet was a distraction from the bullying, and then over the years it just grew as a distraction and an obsession because it was the only thing I'm really good at. That's me being completely honest. It's the only thing I'm good at, so I would use it as an escape. So when it came to face-to-face interactions and socialization, I can't do it. So Naomi staying with me for a week, she'd get on my nerves after a few days. And it wasn't just her. Jimmy did the same. It's just how I am. It's nothing against the person. I'm just very, very antisocial. During her week here, we filmed a bunch of videos, and Naomi made me feel uncomfortable. This, at the time, again, with the anxiety, I overthought everything. And I believed she was trying to seduce me. I no longer believe that, but at the time there were just random hugs, or she would invade personal space very often, which you can actually see in behind the scenes videos, or even in the Final Cut videos that we did together. Naomi makes out like these things, you know, I had no reason to believe that she was coming on to me or anything like that, but she's admitted it. Privately, she admitted to me that she understands that I was uncomfortable, and she said, you know, it wasn't her intent, which I believe, and she apologized for it. But now she's coming out saying nothing happened, nothing like that went down. Anxiety makes you think everything's about you, which, look, I'm not blaming anxiety, because I'm 29 now and I'm learning to understand anxiety a lot more. So when anxiety gives me these thoughts, I'm slowly learning to take a step back and look for the evidence. You know, so many times someone will say something and I'll be like, that's it, they hate me. But then I take a step back and I'm like, do they though? What did they actually say? Let me break it down. Not only was I not the only one who noticed this, because Craig came to visit during that week for my son's birthday, and she also invaded his personal space, and he felt very uncomfortable around her. But some of my subscribers did message me to say that they felt like Naomi had a thing for me because of how she was acting around me.
Your damn smile.
No, I just really... fuck my life.
Later, maybe.
Sorry, not sorry. Between takes, man is going topless.
Who's complaining?
You feel with your hands, don't you?
I feel your face.
I have a face.
So you're going to be fantasizing about me?
No, I'm fantasizing about him.
Pikachu!
Pikachu! Can I Pikachu?
I've already got the crush of my dreams.
Me?
I'm not trying to justify how I acted afterwards, but I'm just saying me believing this wasn't out of the ordinary. Regardless, she stayed for a week, we had fun. The night before she left, we were watching a movie. She got this close to my face, and I was very, I was just like, okay. Turn back to the TV, and in my peripheral vision, she was still very, very close. This just weirded me out a bit. After she left, because I don't like confrontation, I messaged her and I said, look, you made me uncomfortable. And she apologized, which is very, very weird that she now denies doing any of this. Not long after, she started the 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die series. Now, we filmed a sketch at my place, which I helped shoot and direct, and I edited it for her with a great typo at the end. And she showed me the script for the first episode. I breezed through it, all looked good. And then the episode dropped, and it was a carbon copy of mine. It was an identical copy, and I confronted her again, and I said, this just feels like a rip-off. She completely apologized, and then offered to send me the script for the second episode to confirm it, and then ask if I had any ideas to change it. Which I thought was odd, because then it's still my ideas. Regardless, this second episode never got made. We were supposed to go to the KSI and Logan Paul fight together. Me and my girlfriend went without Naomi, even though I paid for all 3 tickets. This led to just animosity between us, and we barely spoke. We still had each other on Facebook, but we didn't really talk. Then there was a whole argument about Amadeus, and we had this huge disagreement about movies, and it was just an excuse to just cut ties. We're like, you know what, this isn't working anyway. Even more so, because she did the 1001 albums, like the first episode, the audio was so fucked, and I pointed out you couldn't hear her. For someone who brags about doing video production and audio production, you couldn't hear a word she was saying.
Yeah, I know fancy times. I did 2 years of music tech.
She then put up a video begging people for forgiveness and again telling me how amazing I am. It didn't help her case. So this wasn't a case of she upset me once and I flipped and did a diss track. And I'm not saying it makes it okay, but it was a lot of things building up to it. And I then did a diss track and threw Jimmy in there. Months prior, Jimmy didn't talk to me, and he never told me why. I got frustrated, and I had his password, and I logged in and closed his channel. 2018 was a bad year for me.
He did some very bad things to me, which he acknowledges, which he's apologised for. We fell out about 2 years ago with, some really, really bad things he did to me. And, he apologised, I took him at his word, and we've been friends since.
I was just frustrated that he wouldn't talk to me in any form. I texted him, I messaged him, I emailed him. He refused to tell me what I had done wrong, so I just lashed out, and it was stupid. And, I had done this years earlier to Steve. I clearly didn't learn my lesson, and it was just a stupid mistake where I acted irrationally. For the months that followed, I would harass Jimmy with messages, and I even messaged abuse to his mother. There's no excusing any of this. I was a prick. I then did a diss track on Naomi and Jimmy. It was disgusting.
29 a virgin, you were worthless. How does it feel that Marianne has herpes? And if you're wondering who the fuck Marianne is, don't worry, she's a nobody, and she ain't Jim's. He thinks she's his bitch, but they've never met. He calls her baby and wishes he could get her wet. You've sexually harassed so many chicks that it has me sick, and it must eat you up. They're one of those girls, and you believe me, punk, had a baby with the biggest nerd in town, a loser, and she still wouldn't ever fucking screw you. Your bitch Marianne, who ain't even your bitch, called you creepy as shit, and you ignored it. A potential rapist, you are, let's face it. Wishing she could guzzle on my sperm. Bitch needs a fucking muzzle, hope it works. Constantly bragging like anyone gives a shit, and is just gagging to lick a man's dick. Getting right close, wanting to press lips. I was thinking, would I ever sex this? Why is Sloth from the Goonies this close? For a virgin hoe, you can't keep your lips closed. Brags about nothing, like a damn fashion. Bitch, it's all black, they ain't fashion, quit yapping. But writing gets praised online, but you said they judge you. Bragging about your shitty writing won't make me fuck fuck you. Low self-esteem, people give me weird looks, so to deter them, I found a great hook. Stupid makeup to bring more attention to myself, cause I look like Gollum, neglecting the help, and it would help if a personality saved it. But I'm also ugly inside and I hate it. Yeah, the power of low self-esteem. Wanted to fuck anything that talks. Spencer bro, ditch her at the airport and walk. In fact, she's so full of herself on Twitter, you probably think can her ego get bigger. But she looks like a dude and she ain't on her own, cause she's dating a guy who looks like a clone. Bitch, you're so arrogant, it took my news to reveal you even date a bro who looks like you. Maybe you're just a talentless, slutty little waste to use depression and past loss as an escape. You slated Jimmy for being creepy as fuck, but yet you tried to cream her nuts.
But I slandered Naomi's name all over the internet, and I ruined all of her confidence, and she deleted her videos. I didn't post anything for nearly 2 years. I was so stubborn, like I thought I was in the right, and I used other accounts to harass her, and I brought her boyfriend Spencer into it for no reason. She had a curious cat, I would send her abusive questions on there. I was a very toxic person. I fucked up. I was an awful, awful person. I would do this at work as well. I would, I would hear someone say something and I'd spread gossip and drama at work constantly. It would always cause issues. I'd always be in the office reporting someone new each week. That was just, again, more attention. Will was another one that I had previously done several diss tracks on. I insulted his girlfriend, his exes, leaked private pictures of them to the point he was even in a mental facility.
I'm racist. What? I'm racist. What? I am so motherfucking racist. Hi, I'm sexist. Huh? I'm sexist. Why? I am such a motherfucking loser. Hi, pricks. Do you like shit? Yeah. Then subscribe, kids, cause every 6 months you'll get a shite vid. Hey, in 3 years, I'm on about a bitch. Claim to still love her, and in 2 weeks, date another chick. But much like Alex, it's not a real relationship. What? It's online, a trip to meet each other, we ain't making it. 99% of my life, my ex and guys inside, dude. I just found out Alex loves cock more than I do. I'm fucking mad. And by the way, when you see my dad, tell him I'm glad years ago the guy beat my ass.
As someone who has been on the receiving end of serious harassment and bullying from Rob that did genuinely damage my mental health in very serious ways, he seriously wounded me in very grave ways in the past.
I would send him abusive questions anonymously on Curious Cat, and I would ask friends to do the same thing. I'd do this to Naomi as well. It was awful. I found amusement in Will's pain.
His harassment and the bullying that he put out and that he encouraged from his friends against me led to me admitting myself into a psychiatric hospital.
As 2019 rolled around, the first 2 months I spent in a slump of depression. And during this time, I made amends with Jimmy. I'm just here to kind of clear the air and clear the name of my movie obsession. And there are a lot of things that I publicized and said about a lot of people. And Jimmy was one of them. Jimmy, I apologize. A lot of stuff should have stayed private, and I aired it out. And I'm sorry for that. The things that I said about Jimmy weren't true. I realized that I did him wrong. I did him dirty, and he was reluctant to actually trust me again, which is absolutely fair. This was when the Channel Awesome documentary happened. I didn't expect the blow up that happened. I thought it would be like another Channel Awesome sketch where it would get views for a little bit and then go away. I can't say that I regret making this documentary because I met some amazing people through it, including Kayla Hope Felker, who I've collaborated with. She's one of my best friends. I met her through this, and it brought a lot of people to my channel. The frustrating thing is that so many people would come through the Channel Awesome sketches or the documentary, and they would claim, oh, I've just discovered your video because of this, and I'm going to catch up on your other content. But they never would. It was the opposite of before. Before people only wanted movie reviews. Now they didn't even want that. People only wanted drama. They didn't care about my content. They didn't care about me as a person. They just wanted me to feed drama. So when I post this documentary and like I wake up the next day, it's got like 100,000 views. I can't even remember how quickly they were rising, but within a week I gained about 4,000 subs. It was ridiculous. And again, this many years of trying to get this to take off. And then this happens. This much attention is driven to my channel. I don't know how to deal with it. I'm like, shit, what do? I panicked, you know. I was advised to capitalize on it, but how? I did one video and then I made my other content. But again, no one gave a shit. I went from getting no views and no attention to thousands of people seeing my content and hating me. When you go from no one seeing to a whole bunch of people seeing, it can take its toll on you. Well, what do? Because my main subscribers came for reviews, so I want to make those. But I want to make other stuff. But then these other people come along and just want the drama videos. So my attention's being driven in 3 different ways. I'd slave over a review, post an episode, and then someone would comment, when's the next Channel Awesome video? When's the next Change the Channel video? I did responses to Channel Awesome fans, and this did successfully keep Change the Channel alive a lot longer than the first time, and people enjoyed them and found them funny. Did I want Change the Channel to like me? Yes! I don't get why people act like they don't want others to like them. That is literally the definition of anxiety. Depression is thinking everybody hates you, but anxiety is constantly wondering if people like you. So of course I want people to like me. Of course I want to Change the Channel to like me. You know, I was trying so hard for my channel to take off. Endless nights of sleep deprivation and drinking. And I was trying so hard to get this to take off. And now I thought, shit, this is it. Of course, then the E-Rod stuff happened. And yes, I got carried away. I messaged him, I guess, too much. I was getting too involved. I won't apologize for making the content and making the videos, but I will apologize for trying to reach out to people privately so much for acceptance. I got carried away. Like, I remember I tried adding Alison Pregler on Skype at one point because she was nice to me on Twitter. I messaged E-Rod an awful lot because I wanted to be accepted. Now, I still disagree with how E-Rod treats people publicly and privately from what I've been told. The fallout with Change the Channel happened because I saw Holly say something, I felt like she contradicted herself, so I intervened, and an argument ensued. I then got depressed and suicidal, and then no one cared. This wasn't a ploy to get sympathy. I genuinely was having suicidal thoughts. When you've tried so hard to get your channel to take off, and then your channel starts to take off, and these people are basically responsible. Change the Channel were responsible for my channel to take off. And then they try to take it away from you. You're going to get defensive. And I'm like, this, other than my family, YouTube's all I have. So I just thought, I can't do anything right. YouTube is the only thing I'm good at and I fucked it. Why should I even be here? As ridiculous as that sounds, that's how I felt. People always say, speak about your mental health. And then when people do, they ignore it like now, like this. I completely overreacted. You know, I saw Holly say something and I thought it was hypocritical, so I pointed it out. And maybe I shouldn't have, but then it got heated and we went back and forth and I felt like she was being an idiot. But I should have just let it go, you know, and I'm learning to do that. Be the bigger man and just stop arguing with absolutely everyone on the internet who has a keyboard. But I didn't. I argued with her and it, you know, blew out of proportion. I literally put out publicly that I wanted to commit suicide. And not a single member of Change the Channel DM'd me to make sure I was okay. They didn't even tweet like a reply to say, hey, Rob, I hope you're okay. Things are getting out of hand. Let's just simmer down. You know, something like that. Instead, Cybercat replied and just disregarded my suicidal plea. And these are the people that are claiming to be better than Channel Awesome. It doesn't make any sense to me. Brad DM'd me to make sure I was okay. Not a single person in Change the Channel made sure that I was okay when I was thinking of killing myself, but Brad Jones did. You know, they were there to blurt out any wrongdoing that Channel Awesome did. Absolutely anything. To the point, the Google document lists Doug Walker not being able to record a Skype call as a serious criticism in the same doc that features sexual harassment. But then when I feel like E-Rod was being unfair and cruel, they wanted it to be kept quiet. You know, they later said that they wanted me to stop doing these videos, but each one of them was commenting them and sharing them and laughing at them and wanting more. You know, they said I was leeching off the views of the Channel Awesome videos. So then I said, okay, fine. And I took them down. And then everyone complained that I took them down. Man, I can't win. And that brought us to the Change the Channel documentary in November last year. This dropping on Erod's birthday was genuinely a coincidence. The thing is, Channel Awesome can't do anything right. Like, they put up a picture of them all having dinner with Brad for his anniversary or something. Just having dinner. And Soft Lavender shared it, was like, look at these losers or something like that. I was like, they're having dinner! What are they? I don't understand. There were things spread about Brad on his wedding anniversary. As a petty way of revenge, I thought, right, I'm going to set this to drop on Thanksgiving. I didn't know of any other date in November that would bother them, so I put out a tweet, which is no longer accessible. However, I finished the documentary ahead of time, and I thought, you know what, let's drop it early. So it was just a random, let's drop it now. Boom, upload. I didn't know it was Erod's birthday until I found out the next day. Marsha still holds it to this day that I treated her horribly, but if you look back, I have done nothing to her. All the things I did were to her husband Erod.
I was more confused because I talked to Marsha a lot, and she would say one thing and Erod would say another. And this isn't anything against Marsha, you know, I've still got nothing against Marsha. But she would say, email Erod, he'd love to do a review with you. And then I'd email Erod and he would always say no. So it was just confusion and conflict. I can relate to Marsha a lot, you know. I'm assuming she has anxiety because I have never done anything to Marsha. I haven't. I did things to Erod because I felt like he was mistreating people, and Marsha thought I deliberately did them to him to get to her, to upset her, which is a sign of anxiety. I understand why Marsha was upset, but I never did anything with the intent to hurt her. You know, I had issues with her husband, but I completely understand her anxiety believing that I was doing things to hurt her, but it was never the case. I've still got no problems with Marsha. You know, she joined in with Holly to spread lies about me, but that was time ago, and I'm over that. So what I did with Change the Channel, I was desperate for attention, and that's true. But then they disregard that Marsha was clearly begging for attention as well. You know, I said that I was suicidal and none of them cared. Marsha said that she was suicidal and they all catered towards her. And I get it. She's their close friend. But this is something that they had an issue with with Channel Awesome about. They only cared about a small circle. You know, if someone's having thoughts where they want to end their own life, check on them. But the thing with Change the Channel is just they're a bunch of hypocrites, man. Like Lindsay Ellis, for instance, has a past of doing these awful things, and then they say, well, that's fine.
I'm sick of porno taping. I need it like a wild ape and my penis is bent and misshapen, so I'm spending my nights out raping.
That was good.
Because it's the past, but then they constantly use any excuse to hate on me. They were all a part of Channel Awesome, and when Doug started out, Doug had a lot of risque jokes and distasteful jokes, and none of them cared, none of them objected. Some of them even joined in with them.
What's the difference?
It's a big difference, trust me.
Really?
Yeah, one means rape. No. Oh god, there was this one take where I did where I was basically circling around Rob with the camera, just basically when I'm taunting her, and just for, I don't know, I was doing what Doug did right here. What I did was basically just, and then all of a sudden I just screamed out, "I will rape you!"
I remember that.
I remember that.
I don't know if it'll make the bloopers, but in case if it doesn't.
And now all of a sudden we're in a society where people are acting like everybody has a squeaky clean past, and everyone's squeaky clean. Everyone's squeaky clean. They never make any distasteful jokes in private. You know, they never say hell or darn.
Just one thing I don't understand is that Change the Channel hate Channel Awesome for these awful things that they've done and have allegedly done. But they then went and intentionally spread lies about me. And there's nothing, I'm sorry, there's no other way for me to put it. Holly went and deliberately spread lies. There's a Reddit thread and they're lies.
It's very frustrating when I will say one thing and people will hear what they want to hear. That's the thing. People say I haven't changed or change the channel can never change. But Change the Channel have literally never taken responsibility for any wrongdoings since this happened. Not once have they come out and said, okay, what we did here was wrong. It's never happened. And that's the thing, people are saying, because there's 40 people, you need to believe them. And you should believe any allegation from abuse victims. But now that I have literally been the victim of them spreading lies about me, and there's no other way to put it, I now struggle to believe the legitimacy of the Google document, because they were the main people putting it together. You know, the Google Doc complained that on the set of the movies, Doug would ask them to do a takes one way, and then they said, can I do it this way? And then he would ask them to do it both ways, and then he'd pick his take anyway. But that's literally what a director does. These people are complaining because, like me, they have no sense of the real world, and they're stuck in this internet fantasy. You know, they don't seem to have a concept of reality. Months pass, and then I was randomly brought up again for some reason. People brought me up, I retaliated, huge beef again, but I felt like they were just bringing me back into it for no reason, and they still shit on absolutely anything Doug or Brad does. I just wanted no memory of Change the Channel or Channel Awesome, because they made me miserable, and it was a reminder that my channel is only here where it is today because of Change the Channel. That was the only reason my channel had any success. My friend had to isolate, and unfortunately, she passed away to COVID. COVID caused a blood clot, which spread to her heart, and she passed away in April.
You were my mother without the DNA, but now that I've lost you, I doubt my PMA. You were my mother without the biology, and without you I'm Tom Hanks lost at sea.
This was a massive eye-opener for me because I was 28 at the time and I have never experienced a big loss before. So this really shook me, and it caused a depression that lasted about 3 months. And it was an eye-opener that life's too short. And I know it's a cliche. At that point, I realized I still had Naomi's phone number. I messaged her to make amends. She heard me out and I apologized deeply. And then weirdly, she blocked my number. That was the last time she and I would ever talk privately. In May, I then fell out with somebody else. They were supposed to be in Venom month. They kept stringing me along, saying they were going to do something. They were, oh yeah, well, I'm definitely doing the review. I'm definitely doing the review. And then kept making excuses to put it off. I was aware that they were going through some personal issues, and I did constantly check that they were okay. However, they continued making excuses, said I can definitely do it. And then eventually, I snapped. You know, an argument ensued, and it was wrong on my part. It was blown out of proportion, and I did treat them horribly. I do think they should have said something sooner, but it doesn't take away how I treated them.
Just recently, he had a small falling out with Alex over an argument where it had something to do with a song that inspired him to do something. It was a song that inspired him to make a music video that he wanted to collaborate with Alex on, and Alex ridiculed it, which I'm not defending him. I sided with Rob on it. But I think Rob's reaction was too emotional, and I think that's part of his issues, is that he reacts emotionally too much, kind of like how Alex does. They both, I think that's why they always fall out, is because they're so much alike. They both react emotionally over nothing.
This was when everything happened at once. Let's get on to EFAP. People see my reaction to the EFAP thing and they thought, what a baby. He's upset because they did a live stream. They don't think that maybe something in his personal life is also triggering this reaction. It was all over the course of a weekend. This person that I fell out with started slandering me online and saying how abusive I was and how I treated them horribly. Him and I had issues, and I kept it private. I didn't say anything. He then plastered it all over social media to the point another person in Venom Month dropped out because of it, didn't even confront me. And when friends confronted that person and said, you know, you should have spoke to Rob, he said, well, Rob didn't tell his side. So if I make it public, I'm wrong. If I keep it private, I'm wrong. That same weekend, I found out some really dark things about my parents' past. and I cut ties with them. I'm not going to go into it, but they were also showing a lot of racist behaviors, so I cut ties for that as well. And then the live stream happened. So it wasn't just this stream happened and I was just like, no! It was the stream happened at the wrong time. The thing with this review, right, the Lord of the Rings review, it's annoying that I've had subscribers who loved this review when it dropped. And then all of a sudden, because of this live stream, they backpedaled and now said it was trash. This is the loyalty that I've had to put up with. Someone on my Discord literally said, I liked it, but then I saw the comments and now I don't. Wow. This is what I mean. I can't win. I have to be Mother Teresa to absolutely everybody. Someone was supposed to be in Venom Month this year, and I said, when do you want to film? Because I have to schedule it, because I was filming a bunch over the course of a week. So they said they picked a day and a time. So I set that day and time. That day and time comes, and they said, can we push it back an hour? So I wait an hour. They're still late. They push it back half an hour. I'm waiting an hour and a half. I need to get ready for the other video that I'm recording with someone else. And I haven't had dinner. I'm sacrificing dinner for this person. And eventually I'm just like, okay, well, I can't wait forever. And I'm the dickhead.
There was another person who I'd done a crossover with before, and they were supposed to be in the Venom Month. And they actually offered, I think it was Venom Month 3, they offered to be in it last minute. And I only had a few days to get this episode done. And they did. They sent me the notes and I got the script ready and I went and filmed my bit. It was Jeepers Creepers 2, actually, and they then, knowing I only had a few days, like, they sent me the footage, but it was awful. Like, you couldn't see them, and then they admitted that they knew the lighting was awful and it was unusable. So I asked if they could reshoot it. I don't understand why you'd shoot it knowing it's unusable. They then said they promised me that they'd reshoot it, and they didn't. So I had to just edit around it in just a few days. But again, like, me getting annoyed at that, I'm the devil because someone let me down and lied to me.
There's part of me that's seeing the progress. It's still a working in progress. He still needs to have more control of his emotions. He isn't Satan. He was a wannabe Satan at one time. I'll say that. He was a wannabe Satan. He was a wannabe rebel. A wannabe Slim Shady.
Like, I would get DMs from subscribers who would message me every 20 seconds. And if I don't reply, I'm an arsehole who doesn't appreciate his fans. I had a subscriber who wanted to come to my house to hang out with me for a week. And then when eventually he gets too creepy and annoying and I tell him to leave me alone, again, I'm the douchebag. There's no right way for me to act. I'm just supposed to take all of this. And this is the problem with a lot of YouTubers. They just have to be absolutely perfect. It doesn't matter what you do to trigger their reaction. They've reacted a certain way, so they're wrong.
You're only seeing from when they've decided to click the record button.
And again, this isn't justifying it. I am wrong in certain ways. There are things that I get wrong, objectively wrong, in the review. People think I'm a troll who doesn't really hate Lord of the Rings. No, I do not pretend to hate Lord of the Rings. I don't like it. What you have to understand is that I've spent years not liking Lord of the Rings, and any Lord of the Rings fan who comes up to me, you don't like Lord of the Rings? No. Oh, you should read the books. They won't accept it. Like, even on that first sentence, I don't like Lord of the Rings. No one's like, oh, really? Well, tell me about it. Tell me why. It's always immediately, you don't know what you're talking about or you haven't read the books. The thing is, I will say this. I acted like a little bitch. I had so much going on and I just lost it.
I think it's been interesting how over time, with the various controversies, I daren't even call them, a lot of it's just been internet drama that Rob's been involved with subsequently, that he has seemingly learnt his lesson from seeing other people respond in a similarly overdramatic, perhaps even immature way, but also at the same time, you know, he's kind of learnt to deal with it better. One of the things that I think helped us get back in contact about, I think, just under a year ago now, was that I had just I kept an eye on his social media because I had no hard feelings towards the guy, and I was just kind of interested to see how his channel went and everything, and I saw he was doing better, and then he got in contact at some point. We spoke to each other, and he told me about this controversy that he was having, and I really looked into it, and I was kind of, like I said, I was just kind of impressed with the way that he dealt with it. He seems not to be rising to it as much. He seemed to be reasoning his response. There was, you know, the usual Rob thing of some maybe misplaced like jokes and things in there, but you know, I didn't really watch his video about that, but I was intrigued that he got a lot of backlash and hate and that he dealt with it in a very sort of communicative way. And I've seen this ridiculous, there's some YouTubers who jumped in and did like just hours and hours of live stream where they just sat there pulling apart his video, and I just thought to myself, is this the best thing you've got to spend your time on?
How do you sit and watch a whole EFAP stream? You need a fucking booking holiday time to sit down and watch that shit.
People were basically doing to Rob what I think Rob had done to other people. People were getting over emotional, over dramatic, you know, sort of everything was, you know, really, like I say, I mean, the same way that Rob would have written like a diss song about someone who he'd fallen out with in a minor way in years gone by. You've got now people doing like massive live streams tearing apart his video because he said something they don't agree about Lord of the Rings. It was interesting to see him on the receiving end of what had kind of been his own behaviour previously.
I did not want to make up for Rob for a very long time. I held a lot of spite against him. I felt a lot of anger against him. I felt a lot of just outright hatred for him. Not even for what he did to me, but for what he did to people close to me, people I loved, people I cared about, because when we were in the midst of that drama, it really just spread like wildfire. I was not willing to even hear his side on anything. And then the Mahler video happened. When you get an atom bomb thrown at you like that, as a small YouTuber, from a channel as vicious and influential as Mahler, I think it almost works as a reset button of sorts. I don't think that Rob deserved to have that EFAP video made about him, but on the other hand, I think that it really helped him to grow and mature as a person and become more reflective. I think that he looked at the treatment that he received and the compassion and empathy that he was denied, and he doesn't want to see other people denied that compassion or empathy or chance to be heard and to be appreciated.
They act like I'm the only person to ever make fun of Sam and Frodo being gay. It's everywhere. If you just type it in YouTube, it's literally a prediction. This is the thing. People say I can dish it out but can't take it, but they're literally flipping out because I make a joke about Lord of the Rings. So making gay jokes is forbidden, but making fun of mental disabilities is fine. Elijah Wood himself laughed at them.
There is a, how do I say, without being rude, a gay connotation. Oh, you laugh, it's funny.
And that's the thing. I was getting harassment for months on Twitter, on YouTube, insulting my family, saying they should get hit by a bus because I dare to make this video. I acted like a bitch, and this is one problem I have. I very often do either dish it out, I either start drama or antagonize it, and then when it comes back to me, I panic and I don't like it. And I'm working on that. That's literally why I started a video series where I ask my subscribers to roast me, because I'm trying to gain thicker skin. Rob's teeth are so bad, little woodland creatures call his mouth the lair of the pink worm. Most of my friendships is me roasting people or them roasting me. You can see it in bloopers. Floor 9 could suck my cock. Because you don't.
Didn't have one anyway.
An orgasm or an ego?
Either.
Ah, yeah, that's because you're shit. No! Oh!
Put green ones on.
Put your mum on.
I love that.
Like mother, like daughter. You remind me of the babe.
What, babe?
The pig.
Am I pushed?
No, you're ugly, Spike.
People perceive that as me being a dick. It's just how the UK communicates with friends.
You're wearing fucking pyjamas, bruv. Shut up, man.
You're like the world's fattest toddler. I don't mean that.
Are we going for shots then?
What were you saying about going to the gym? What were you... Let's go rewind to that, my friend, because what's your favourite machine? The vending?
You roast people. It's all in good fun and it's banter. I'm just learning to handle that on the internet as well. Because there are times where I feel like I shouldn't be on the internet. And this is when, during Venom Month 4, Naomi came out and made these allegations and exposed me. But the thing is, like, not only have I constantly tried to apologise to Naomi privately, I've constantly tried to apologise to Naomi publicly as well.
I realise now more than ever just how much I'd affected people like Jimmy, his girlfriend, Will Walker, his ex, Naomi Sanders and others. I reached out and I apologised to them deeply. To ask a similar question, do you think you and Naomi can be friends again? Okay, you know what? I'd like to. I know that sounds very odd. The thing with Naomi was, I was wrong to publicise it and put it all over the internet, and I've reached out to her privately to try to make amends, and she blocked me and doesn't want to talk to me, which is absolutely fine. I've gone through different avenues to try to make contact, and she's blocked me on everyone. Again, we had good times. I miss them. I'd like to, but obviously she doesn't, so it's whatever.
There's been a lot of people that I've kind of defamed and I've slandered online. Obviously, me and Jimmy are bros now, but I sent him a message. And I was like, now I know what it's like, and I'm sorry. I sent a message to Will. I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry that I put you through this. And I sent one to Naomi. Naomi did not reply. She blocked me. But now that I've experienced it firsthand, the online bullying and online slander on such a grand scale, has made me a lot more aware of my actions.
So I came on here and I did diss tracks to certain people and brought it to the public eye, not really caring what others thought or how much it hurt them. And to those people, I apologise.
Naomi brought up the fact that I said the N-word privately to a friend as a joke, even though she constantly defends PewDiePie, who said it publicly. Like, a lot of this just doesn't make sense, and
I just found it weird that she would fight tooth and nail to defend and support Change the Channel, but they have literally boycotted anyone who supports PewDiePie, which she has openly done on several instances.
She was doing this because that person who was supposed to be in Venom Month went to her. Now that person was doing to me what I did to Naomi. Which baffles me, because although it's karma, you're now as bad as you claim me to be. Because I used to think this. I used to think, well, you deserve it, you did it first. But now you're just as bad as you're claiming me to be, so it kind of makes your argument null and void. This person slandered my name all over the internet, and now you're doing it as well. You're literally doing what I did, and then claiming that you're better. And that's that. If I defend myself, people always say I'm like deflecting blame, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about this thing that you did? And that's not the case. I take full blame and full responsibility for what I did to Naomi. But I don't want to just stand around and watch her paint herself as this perfect angel, because she helped me harass Will. She helped me harass Jimmy. In her one episode of the 1001 albums, she insulted Jimmy in that video.
Whenever I say, what are you doing? You've done this. People always say I'm deflecting the point or the blame, but they fail to actually explain that point. It's not whataboutism, it's me making a valid point. I've taken responsibility, but you're not. You're the one deflecting the blame. Yes, I've done these things, and I've regretted them, and I've apologized for them, but you've done this, and you're ignoring that. I get that she's upset, and I did treat her horribly, and that's why I haven't spoken out since, because I've let her do her thing. She's leaked screenshots, but she doesn't come across as an abuse victim a lot of the time. When you're dancing around your room to music and then bragging I'm deleting TikTok, I'm sorry, it doesn't come across like you're actually traumatized. It seems like you're a dick who's doing this for attention. And I hope that's not the case, Naomi. I hope it's not. That's how it's coming across.
He's kind of admitted it's his own karma, because he's hurt a lot of people, and now he's being hurt. But the thing is, I must say, I have seen a real major change in Cinematic Venom, in Rob, over the last however long we've been friends again. He has grown in kindness, in understanding. I've seen him do things I would never see the old Rob do, which is try and understand people's situations more, try and understand how his actions affect people. Try and understand things he was ignorant about in the past, some of his beliefs. One of Naomi's main claims in these videos was that there's been no change in Rob at all, and he always says he's going to change and then there's no change whatsoever, which makes no sense because they haven't been in contact for the last 2 years. I have seen lots of change in his desire to be a better person. I just have. I've just seen him try and take control more of his life. I just feel like it was a nasty fallout back when a time when Rob didn't necessarily care about people, how blunt he was with people, how unkind he was to people. She's kind of doing to Rob what he did to her. She's kind of twisting truths and presenting Rob out as a stalker and this and that, and presenting Rob out to be someone who's never said sorry, and just someone who's still hurting people, which isn't true, because I've seen him make a real effort for me to make up for what he's did for several other friends.
I really do feel like he's grown and developed and just changed for the better as a person. She gets on his case for making extremely inappropriate and bad taste jokes about her appearance, about race and sexuality and gender and just other very touchy topics. I think that's pretty rich coming from her, because I've seen chat logs that she made with Rob and her other friends going after my ex-girlfriend universe and other people who are close to me, which were extremely tasteless. I just wish that she could practice what she preached a little bit more. And I didn't hear one apology for the way that she spoke about my ex-girlfriend or female friends in my circle. I'm still waiting for that.
I don't know Naomi that well. I spoke with her frequently when they were friends. I did quite find it odd that right as they fell apart and stopped speaking to each other, she stopped speaking to me. I remember distinctly that she would always communicate with me at that time talking about music, which I didn't mind. It didn't have the time of day to talk to me anymore. To claim abuse, I mean, Rob's owning up to some of the abuse that he has apparently done. I haven't been there. I'm not going to comment on if he's doing that or not, but I can tell you right now, it's more likely than not that he is remorseful for any negative reactions that he has caused. Because throughout our talks, he has asked me why have I still remained friends with him after all these years, after all the stuff that he's done to me. But the girl that he's with now, who he's been with for about 4 years, seems to have settled him down a bit. A bit. I say a bit. Because he still has his moments. He has his moments like with Alex.
I'm still not perfect. Obviously, I still have moments where I do say things irrationally. I'm learning from it. You know, I don't plaster it all over the internet. I talk with the people and I work it out now. But I normally let it simmer for things to de-escalate. And, you know, I'm not going to come here and say I'm a changed man and I don't do this anymore, because I do. I want people to learn from my mistakes. And obviously I know people here are watching and saying, well, no, because I'm smart enough to not do them in the first place, which is absolutely logical and makes perfect sense. But my point is, everyone makes mistakes. And you're lying if you say you've never, you know, Facebook stalked someone, or you've never typed a nasty comment, or you've never said something out of anger. You know, obviously they won't be as extreme as mine. And I fully understand that and I appreciate that, but I'm just saying, like, everyone's made these mistakes, just not on such an extreme level. And I want people to, you know, take a step back and not let the internet create an ego. And again, I'm not blaming the internet, because it's still my fault for, you know, I was in full control of my actions, and at the time I agreed with what I was doing and with what I was saying. So it's not the internet's fault. It was completely my fault. But I'm here to just hope that this message gets out there and that people understand what I'm saying.
Rob is someone who I think is very genuine about what he feels and what he thinks. But I don't think he has a very good grasp sometimes on what other people think and feel, which gets him into all these troubles. But I would always say the key with anything, if someone offends you, the key thing is to think about intention. were they misguided? Were they working on incorrect information? You know, what was their intention? And one of the examples I give is like, imagine you have like a white person who's liberal. Everyone knows they're a supporter of a lot of good causes. They clearly have never been like a racist or anything. And then one day they're caught in a joke using the N-word. Yeah, obviously they need to be hauled up and they need to be told you can't do that. That's not right. That's a bad thing to do. And they need to have that explained to them. But that's fine though, because you can forgive them on the basis that, okay, what you did was stupid, but you're not actually a bad person at heart. And then you can have someone like who, shall we say, certain orange-haired politicians who don't openly say the N-word, but will do things like, and not have an actual Muslim ban, but ban people from only Muslim countries and stuff like this. And you can say, well, look, no, you actually are racist because we know your intention. We know what you're thinking. And to me, that is kind of the big thing that it gets swept away a lot in the internet. It doesn't people don't seem to notice that the intention is there. And is more important often than the action. Yes, obviously your actions have to have consequences, but I felt that just a lot of what I saw with Rob, like the things that people were saying about Rob online, when I got back in contact with him, I was like, I'll be happy to stand here and slag off Rob if you want to, but these things are not true. It's like, when I talk about things that Rob actually does, which they sort of misread situations, not appreciate other people's perspectives, get over emotional, say words that he should think that he can't take back. We can get into all of that, but when people started calling him stuff like, they were calling him like homophobic and racist and whatever, I was like, yeah, these things aren't Rob. If you want to slag off Rob, talk about the things he actually does. I think that Rob seems to have matured and learnt the only way possible, which is from being exposed to being the victim of crazy internet behavior. I wish him the best, and I'd be happy to work on anything with him again, as long as it doesn't involve wearing stupid fucking latex masks. I genuinely wish him the best. I think that he's still got a lot of things to learn, but don't we all? And I hope that incidences that have occurred don't falsely tarnish his name.
He's still a learning in progress.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this once. If you got beef with him, or at least with me, I don't care what you say to me, or I don't care what you say to him, but please, in future terms, leave our son out of it, because that's when Mama Bear's going to get mad.
I mean, Spencer said that I dragged him into the beef for absolutely no reason, and that's absolutely true, but then he and Naomi randomly bring my kids into it for no reason. They have nothing to do with any of this. They just know their dad does YouTube videos. They don't know about any of this drama or beef.
He's telling me stuff that's been going on about with him making a lot of mistakes. I'm just going to say this, even though me and you never, sometimes we did. But for a while, we didn't see eye to eye. But everybody makes mistakes and nobody's perfect. Just remember that, okay?
But now you want to know why I'm ending Cinematic Venom. There's a lot behind it, and the last 2 years has been building up to it, really. Obviously, there's the frustration that I'm not allowed to post anything but reviews or drama. Once the change the channel thing happened, my channel has been irrelevant. My channel's been dead. This year I've gained like 100 subscribers all year. It's been pathetic. My channel it is dead. It is so dead. This year's Venom 4 took 11 months to produce. I started working on it last November and I still wasn't done in time. I was literally edited the finale like during October. That takes so long, and it takes so much of my time during the year that I struggled. Like, if you look at 2019, the amount of reviews I posted were just few and far between, because I was doing Change the Channel shit, but also working on Venom Month. It's getting too much, and I feel like I could just cut it down and not do Venom Month anymore. I could just do, like Venom Month 1 was just review, so I was going to do that. But then I thought, throughout the year, I'm still going to have that in the back of my mind, that I need to get 31 videos done by October. So then I thought I could just scrap Venom Month, maybe do one review or something, and then just do reviews. But then I thought, you know what? I've still got to do like Mother's Day deadlines and Valentine's Day deadlines and Easter, and I guess I could just not do that. But then I was like, why don't I just stop reviews? Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that I could end it this way, because it's not that I've stopped enjoying making them. At least twice a year, I normally get tired of movie reviews, usually around the production of Venom month. This year, it hasn't happened. I still enjoy making them, but just the thought of not having to worry about deadlines or anything, it just feels so nice. And it's my own fault. Like, literally, no one's added this stress on myself. No one asked me to do Venom month, and then no one asked me to do Venom month 2, 3, or 4. No one's pressured me to do this every year. I added that pressure myself. I've made this, you know, ridiculous work schedule. However, there are certain things I would love to do, and YouTube prevents that. It was to the point, like, I was rejecting overtime shifts at work to do YouTube videos. I was rejecting hanging out with people to do YouTube videos. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm 29. It's just because I love doing it and I love making content for you people. And I was like, there's so much, I can't exercise anymore. I don't have the time. I want to get back into cooking. I want to get back into gaming, even if I don't record it. You know, it's ridiculous how much I'm missing out because I'm obsessed with YouTube. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Let's just end it. Furthermore, there's the frustration that nothing seems good enough. And this is me just being completely real with you guys. Like, I tried to do a long-running storyline on Venom. It doesn't work, because then people are still questioning why something's happening, even though it happened the previous year.
Yes, it's me.
Wait, Jimmy's a vampire now? What?
I hyped Venom month for a year, and people still commented asking why I'm posting daily in October. I've done it 4 years in a row. Last year I hyped the Venom month competition, and then when I did the reveal, people were like, I didn't even know there was a competition. It's very, very frustrating when subscribers ask to be kept in the loop, but yet then they don't watch the videos that keep them in the loop. I do update vlogs and no one watches them, so I feel like I just can't win. Most of the time I can't help but feel like I'm shouting into an empty void and no one's actually listening. When they're still asking who my characters are, even though I've spent 5 years building them and putting them in almost every video that you claim to watch. You know, I do personal vlogs of my personal life. No one gave a shit. People say, oh yeah, I've been watching you since the Channel Awesome documentary, but then they'll ask me to review a film I've already reviewed since then. It's so frustrating. I did the finale, and the annoying thing is you guys proved my point. I did this big finale where I clearly state that Cinematic Venom is ending, and then there's still countless comments saying, what's he going to do next year? Can't wait for the next review. Like, did you watch it? It's so frustrating, man. It really is. It's at this point I'm going to be making videos on other channels, and that's another thing. People assumed I'm quitting YouTube when I'm not, and I never said that. I've hyped other channels for years. You know, I'll still be making content on 3 other YouTube channels, but they have no pressure, no stress, no deadlines, no expectations. I can have fun. I want to take YouTube back to having fun, and that's what those channels are going to be for. I'm just working on a rebranding, but Cinematic Venom is done. You know, I'm trying my best to better myself. I have issues. Some stemmed from my past, but not excusing it. That's where they began. I'm here to try to better myself as a human being. I'm still learning, and I'll be completely honest with you when I say that. This was just a video to explain everything and to absolutely thank you all so much for the support over the years. And the close friends around me who have helped me through these years and helped me so much. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas, and I hope you have a great New Year. I'll see you elsewhere.